We're good?
Go ahead.
Okay. Now we'll call it to order. All right. We'll get started here. We are missing one member that I believe will show up late. So, but first item on the agenda is roll call.
Stuart Ward?
Present. And I have talked to some of the public that's here tonight on agenda item number 6, but it was only procedural. It does not affect my decision for tonight.
Chad Solomon?
Present and no conflict.
And Molly Dimick.
Present, and I'd like to recuse myself from agenda items 4 and 5.
Okay.
Okay. Next item is agenda clarification.
Hal Jensen, Planning Director, Bannock County. Item number 12, the work session, the review of council bylaws will be dropped from the agenda.
Okay.
And then I'd make a recommendation as we await Councilmember Matson's arrival that we begin with items 6 and 7 and then follow up with items 4 and 5 on the agenda in light of the fact that Councilmember Dimick needs to recuse herself from that. We need a quorum of 3 to be able to act on items 4 and 5.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll possibly postpone 4 and 5 depending on when she gets here. Okay. And item number 12 will be removed. Okay, do we have a motion to accept the agenda?
I'll file a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the revised agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next is approval of minutes from our November 20th meeting. I went through those and didn't see anything that stood out that needed changed.
Same, I didn't see anything there. Scanned through them and
Actually, I do have one thing, sorry. On the minutes, number 1, where it says roll call, on the second line there, my name is spelled wrong. It's a T at the end, not a D.
Okay.
But other than that, I think we're good, so. Do you have any comments on that? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from November 20th?
Motion to approve the November 20th meeting minutes.
second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, passed. All right, we'll go into the public hearing items. Before I do that, let me read this. Okay. This is a scheduled meeting of the Bannock County Planning and Development Council. The Planning Council serves in both a decision-making capacity and an advisory capacity to the Board of County Commissioners. Any decisions made by the Planning Council this evening may be appealed by the county or to the County Commissioners within 10 days. Please call the Office of Planning and Development prior to the 10-day deadline for detailed instructions for filing an appeal, sorry. The hearing procedures will be as follows. A presentation will be made by the applicant with a time limit of 6 minutes. The staff report is presented then by Planning and Development staff. Public testimony is given in favor of the proposal, neutral to the proposal, and against the proposal, with a time limit of 3 minutes. The applicant may rebut the arguments offered by the opposition. with a time limit of 6 minutes. The Planning and Development Council then discusses the hearing subject. They may direct questions to the staff, the applicant, and the audience during this stage of the hearing process. The hearing is closed to oral testimony from the applicant and the audience, and the hearing process is concluded and deliberations will begin. Rules and procedures for public comment are as follows. This hearing is for public comment and is not a question and answer session. Everyone shall exhibit respectful behavior. There shall be no booing, hissing, or cheering. Anyone deemed unruly will be escorted out of the building. A sign-up sheet must be filled out to give oral testimony. Only one person may speak at a time and must be recognized by the chairman before speaking. That's crossed out. I don't know if I'm supposed to read that or not. You will be given a time limit of 3 minutes. Before you begin your comments, state your name and address for the record. If you are here tonight and you're angry, that's okay, but please don't take your anger out on the council members. We are charged by law to keep a clear record of the proceedings, consider the factual testimony, and to uphold county and state rules and regulations. Thank you for your courtesy to us and others as we move through this process. Is there anyone who does not understand the procedure I just read? Everybody's good? Okay. Welcome. You have to speak loud. We have a different recorder. So you gotta project your voice tonight. Okay.
Orange, will you repeat roll call, please?
Okay. Chad Selenite,
Present, no conflict.
Stuart Ward,
Present. Do I need to repeat my
No.
statement? Okay.
Crystal Mattson,
Present, no conflict.
Molly Dimick.
Present, and I'll need to recuse myself from agenda items 4 and 5.
Okay. Okay. Now that you're here, we'll proceed through public hearing. We'll start with number 4, but we need a motion to open the public hearing.
Follow motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Agenda item number 4 is a conditional use permit for campground. Christian Kobus, I think I said that right. Petitions for a conditional use permit to create a 30-spot campground on approximately 5 acres. The affected property is known as RPR RIFL 001300 and is currently unaddressed. Proposed hours of operation are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Private well and septic are being proposed. The council will evaluate the proposal against criteria established in section 530 of the zoning ordinance. Okay. Need somebody at a time. Can you time for me?
Yep, I'm ready.
6 minutes. Okay, Christian, you're up. You'll come up here and state your name and address and then tell us what you're trying to do.
Christian Kobus, 9022 West Pocatello Creek Road, Pocatello, Idaho. I'm just trying to make a small campground just for overflow from the area of lava. Any just people that want to be a little bit farther away from the roads and crowds.
Okay. And you're looking for 30 spots?
Yes.
According to your site plan, that's a mix of different things, tents, RVs, tiny homes, is that right?
Basically RV parking.
Mostly RV?
Yeah, and then maybe bays in some just tiny homes on wheels.
Okay. Okay. The only other question I had is the private well and septic. Do you plan on putting
At this
permanent
time.
bathrooms there with septic system and drill a well and stuff?
Yeah, eventually, At this time, I was just gonna propose just a dry camping area with probably electrical services.
So restrooms would be like portable restrooms for now?
Yeah, at this time, other than what's provided in the RPs.
And then what about water?
That-
You're providing water to all the RV spots too?
No, not at this time.
Okay. So they'll have to bring in their own water?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you guys have any questions?
I have a question. So on the tiny homes, and it sounds like they're a future type of thing, and also for the sewage, are you in the future planning on having, each individual sewer to these little cabins? Or it going into like a general, I guess would be a public wastewater area or sewage area?
It's more like a, holding tanks on each unit with possible, RV dump pad.
Gotcha. Just
With
into
it.
kind of a community slash whatnot, everybody uses it, they
Yeah,
put up
and
their
it'd
trailers.
be regularly pumped.
And like the little mini houses, I mean, would you, if they have holding tanks, would you have like, a provider come and pump those out and clean them?
Yeah.
That's kind of your
Yeah,
plan there?
had to have a schedule.
Okay. And then as far as the water goes, would you have, what would be just like one community well, or is there be running water to each individual little cabin or camp spot?
Eventually, I thought I'd try to do water to each spot,
Okay.
community well.
And I thought I don't know if it was from SIF, the restrictions or whatnot, because I think initially it sounded like, from what we have here, that you were planning on a private well and septic. But then I thought I read somewhere in here, with an email back from the public health that, looks like you said, at this time, you're planning on a dry camp.
Yeah.
And they were okay with that because there's no requirements, no permits required for it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I got. Thank you.
Okay. Do you have any questions? No? Okay, we may have more questions for you later.
Okay.
Okay. Staff.
Elise Foster, subdivision planner. You have the staff report in front of you that was written by Tristan Borquin. There are some recommended conditions if you choose to move forward with this. Does council have any questions?
No.
I don't think I have any questions on the staff report now.
No, I don't have any questions either.
At least not right now. Okay. Okay, we'll go through public testimony. Just check these real quick. Okay. I don't have anybody signed up in support or neutral to the opposition, or neutral to the application. But I do have a fair amount of opposed, so we'll go through those first. It's like 3 of them do not want to testify, so I'll just read those. Alwyn Call, is that right?
Yes.
Opposes, does not wish to testify. Says it will create too much noise for the whole valley. It will also create too much traffic on Blazer Highway and on Pheasant Drive. Is that your timer?
Yeah, 6 minutes.
Emily Olson, opposed, does not wish to testify. Blazer Road is too small for amount of additional traffic. camp area bumps into wetland that's connected to the Port Neuf River. Problem with noise and light pollution. Need to have more notice for public. We only saw a small sign. Ellen Christensen, opposed, does not wish to testify. Sewer and water. Sewer and water systems, I think, that's an abbreviation, will impact local water, increase traffic, drainage of runoff water, I think is what that says. So, okay, I think the rest of these all want to testify. Yeah, okay. So the first one is Sarah Reese.
Yes, I think you said it right.
Perfect.
Okay. Do I come
Just
sit
your,
here?
yep, sit there and name and address, please.
Okay, all right. Wait, you want me to sign another paper?
No, nope, just, I need your name
My
and
name is
address.
Sarah Reese, and I am on Bald Eagle, which is just up from Pheasant Drive. It's kind of just one of those little roads. I would also like to chime in that the only notice I received was a very small snow-covered sign on the road. It was not posted at our post office, nor was this meeting posted, given to me notice. I know some of my neighbors received postcards, but I know for myself I did not. So it feels like the communication maybe could benefit from a little bit more robust announcement there. I'm also concerned about the road conditions. We have a lot of non-residents that already drive through our neighborhood, and the county does not maintain a lot of roads inside of that neighborhood. Some of it's within the HOA, some of it is not. As residents, we've already had Elkhorn Drive closed, and so now there's one route to get up to that National Park access trailhead, and it's a very steep road. We've already, almost every weekend, we're pulling those Airbnbers out because they're trying to drive their minivans up there. And it's already kind of, it's a nuisance. I can say it like that, I suppose. That's the proper termage to use. We've had recently the yurts go in that neighborhood. There definitely is light pollution now. There's big lights on those yurts, and they leave them on 24/7, right? Because they're rentals, nobody's there, nobody's flipping them on and off. So that kind of goes against our ordinances as well. The other concern, of course, that we have is for the water and sewer. If you've got 30 new campsites that are crammed in there, and these are teeny homes on wheels, as we've seen in all the other campgrounds around Lava, those teeny homes stay there year-round. They're there all year. I understand they're on wheels. I also hope that as a planning zone that you also understand that they're doing that to bypass some of the ordinances for having a permanent structure there. But if the teeny home is gonna sit there all year, it seems like they should, have some requirements there to follow those ordinances that are in place for the county. Those are kind of some of my main concerns. I think a campground in the area is definitely, there's a market for it, so I can understand that that's a need that maybe could be filled in that neighborhood. But I hope that as a planning commission that we're kind of thinking about the impact not only on the roads and us residents, but also on the environment, and how having an additional 30 and then another additional 25 is going to really impact that corridor and that little valley. And as a planning commission, I hope that you can have that foresight to put in some rules. And if we're going to open that up, I would request that you start maintaining specifically those roads in that neighborhood so that they can get up to that national park where they can go up Bird Canyon and access our beautiful forest. Give them a bathroom up there too. There's no bathroom at that trailhead, and I would really hate to see that trail turn.
That's your time.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Glenna Christensen? Is it Glenn? Sorry. Glenn Christensen, that's two N's, right?
Yeah, Glenn Christiansen,
Christian Hansen.
7400 South Blazing Highway, out of Hot Springs, Idaho. I'm concerned about the water and sewer system with that many people there. You're above a canal and also the springs and stuff right below that. So I'm concerned about the contamination from that and the use of the water it's gonna take quite a bit of water for that many people. Next one is the increase in the traffic. I know the paperwork says it's just gonna increase a little bit, but I think you're gonna increase it 200 or 300% for that area. Because, you know, they say 25 or 30 people, but they're gonna come and go, and then they're gonna come and go 2 or 3 times a day, you know, for activities around there. So you're gonna have a lot of traffic like that. I don't see anything for the drainage of the area. You know, they're supposed to contain all the drainage water and the stuff like that, but I don't see any plans or anything for that. And you've got, just below that, you've got a canal. There's much runoff that way. You're gonna plug it and maybe even contaminate the springs and stuff below that, so. That's about what I've got for now.
Thank you.
Okay. Candace Simmons?
Yes.
My name is Candice Simmons. Live on Simmons Road, just right up the river from it. And I've already given some some written testimony, and I want to go through it really quick because I've added some on. Water is a crucial thing on that east side because there's very little of it. You can't pump enough water to keep the campsite green, okay? Septic, you can get around it a dozen ways to Sunday, but we're talking water and septic now. We're not talking for in the future. You know, that's conjecture. This hearing is for now, not what could be for water. There's only one ingress and egress, the irrigation canal. There are many things. We can spend 2 hours talking about the irrigation canal, not 6 minutes. There's fire and ambulance, and there's police and emergency personnel, and there is a high fire risk up there. Within the area, there are abundant campsites that already exist. Therefore, there is no necessity. The first procedure to follow up there, because it borders BLM, is to have an environmental impact statement. In this matter, it's prudent and it's imperative for all concerned, not just for the residents, but for people who come. And also the people right here, I've got, the purpose of a hearing are to evaluate all concerned, not just to rubber stamp an okay for anyone who submits a request. The public has a right to have expectations of a safe experience. For 45 years, these parcels have experienced stagnant development for many issues, water, etc., because the east side is bone dry. Like I said, you can't even pump enough, and you're going to be pumping everybody else's water as well. It is also plagued with rattlesnakes. Those of us who have been around for a while, you know, kind of like 136 years, know the area as Rattlesnake Ridge. Be advised, you will be putting the masses into harm's way. It's not when, if, but definite. Note, this conditional use permit only serves the applicant. It really does not serve, because there's really not the need there. You're out pretty far. You're going to have traffic, pedestrian traffic. You're going to have kids. You're going to have everybody coming and going all the time. And that's over 2 miles.
That's your time, man. That's your time, Kate.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Charles Olson?
Charles Olson, 6912 Pheasant Drive in Lava. Okay. You've got to be kidding me. This valley is only a half a mile wide and 4 miles long, or 2 or 3 miles long. And we get more snow there than anybody because it comes in and traps in that valley. And guess what else traps in the valley? Sound. You can hear those trains going by. They sound like you're going through on your back porch. And my property, my 5 acres, goes down to the Portneuf River, and I look across my backyard right at the yurts. And now this guy wants to put 55 or 30 campgrounds in my backyard again. So I'll have light pollution, noise pollution, who knows what else. You know, there's a song back in the 60s said, they paved paradise and put up a parking lot. And that's exactly what they're doing here. They're gonna ruin my little piece of paradise for me and all the year-round residents there. And I don't worry about the sewer or the water. That's somebody else's concern. I'm just worried about, we're gonna be North Lava before long and be Disneyland. So that's my, I ask the council to reject this application. Thank you.
Thank you. J.C. Smith.
J.C. Smith, 7245 South Grouse. I live just a quarter mile, well, half a mile from where they're doing this. They will drive up my driveway. Now, just one time, but I like Martin and he hires me for things. He's a good guy. But they also put in, I call it the Blue Room Temple, right above me. And so I see what everything goes on. I will be the closest neighbor to this whole thing. But, and all these people, and I don't blame these guys for getting on the Utah 5000 and taking in their money. But all these people come out, they get out of the city, it's a free-for-all. Let the dogs run. Well, when their dogs come down there and start chasing my horses, you can guess what I'm gonna do to them horses, or the dogs. He already said that he doesn't have water up there. That whole side in the summertime is nothing but a big kindling box. And you got 55 campers up there. You want fire when you go camping? I do. There's gonna be a huge fire hazard. And they're not gonna have water? Okay, the road, and everybody's talked about that, but coming up my driveway and over to theirs, it's a cluster. And then people come out of the city, they're on four-wheelers and they run all over everywhere. Everything around there is private property until you go across over and get on that other trail. And I've had to stop them. They were just up and down spinning cookies. Usually it's teenagers. And if you've ever been in Utah, a speed limit is a suggestion. The Temple guys and me, we've put up speed limit signs of 15. Well, that slowed them down to at least 50 or 60 up and down my driveway. And then they come out there, they're in the country, so let's go shooting. So target practicing. Well, Grandma's house got 2 bullets in it 2 years ago. Well, we didn't know there was a house over there. I went up and stopped them one day because they were shooting right at Glenn's cows. Well, I didn't see them over there. And I got 3 different pastures up there, and all these people come out of town. Oh, there's a horse, and they got to run out there, and they go out in my pasture to pet the horses. Well, what happens if one of them kicks them or bites them or something? Well, I'm gonna be sued. Enough people's talked about the septic and power. Okay, that whole side has not been developed much because the committee has, I got grandfathered in because the guys put the house in, got it done immediately. Then they've changed out and said until the road gets to county specs, They wouldn't allow anything. Well, they allowed Blaine to put in that temple.
That's your time, sir. Thank you.
So do I finish when I go to Martin's? Or can I just say what I say now?
You can finish on the next one.
Okay, I'll finish it then. Oops, sorry.
Shelley Call.
I'm Shelley Call at 6896 South Pheasant Drive. And my property also goes down to the Port Neuf, and the campground would be kind of kitty corner from us. And my main concern is then again, I'm from Utah, so I can't talk bad about Utah people, but we moved up here to get away from the city life, to have it quiet. So we bought outside of Lava. If we wanted to be in Lava with all the campers, we would have bought in Lava. My concern is the noise. I can just sit there in my backyard and I can hear people up at the yurts and I can hear everything they're saying. And that's just a few kids that were up there today. I'm also very concerned, which they've mentioned about the highway. A lot of times the trains also get stuck on our tracks. We only have one way out. You're putting all those campers in there. It could be a disaster if something happens. And that even worries me now as being a resident up there. But having all those trailers. And then again, I go four-wheeling and I also ride my horses up the canyon. There's no respect for people that come up and that are from out of town. They go as fast as they want. I've talked to Bannock County, nobody listens. And the junk, the trash is just going up every year up the canyon. I'm picking up trash all the time just to keep it clean. And that's just because I want to have a clean canyon to ride up. And so, and the noise from the trailers, we used to have a trailer ourselves and go camping. You got the generators you're listening to. People are watching TV in there when it's hot. You got loud music. Some people are partiers. They're out there partying all night. And we are the ones that have purchased our homes to live there permanently. Not to have a whole summer's a party event that we have to worry about. And that's what I have to say. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. That was everybody that signed up for that one. Okay. Mr. Colbus, do you have anything to rebut? Anything, you want to address anything that's come up?
No.
No? Okay. All right. You guys have any questions any additional questions that come up, either for the applicant or for any of the public?
No, I don't have any questions for the public.
Okay. Nothing? Okay. Okay, you guys ready to go through findings then?
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
I have concerns for the full-time residents, the impact. We all know if you've been to Lava in the summertime, it's a busy place, it's a hopping place. I feel like this is a little far out of town, kind of in my, what I think anyways. Are you familiar with up there, and you guys know where it's at? That's probably my biggest concern. I don't feel like water and sewer is a good option, but he is talking about right now having a dry camp. I guess that's kind of my concern. And it's mostly the resident impact and what it does to that valley. I could see more of like and this is just me deliberating, right? A single family home on that lot that would be less impact or something like that, that's zoned in a recreational area.
Right.
So that's kind of my concerns. You guys have anything, or?
I have a lot of the same concerns. I am a little concerned with the fire, how dry it is up there. I've been up there,
Yeah.
and yeah, it gets very, very dry on the east side, and some of that west side stays pretty dry too. But I agree. 30 camp spots is a lot for that little area.
That's, and then there's another one right behind it, right? So adjoining lots, so what would be 55 camp spots.
Right.
Which would be agenda number 5. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Crystal, yeah.
As I review it, I thought it was bare ground, not almost of them. And so my main concern is the roads and the fire, and I don't know fire hazard access in and out, and I don't know what the roads are to standard. I don't know how bad the roads are.
If you look into the staff findings, one of the requirements they put in was to make the roads to county standards in and out. Blazer Highway itself is just a 2-lane road. You've been there.
That'd be my concern, the fire and the roads. As well as impacted
Yeah.
family homes.
Mm-hmm. And there's just the one home up there right now in that neighborhood, or on that side. Is that right? Just this one? I don't know what that is for sure, if that's a home or not, but this is a home here.
That's my place.
Right here is,
Yeah.
or right here, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
he's
you got-
down here
you
on
got
this side. I don't know what that is.
The Temple Blue Room and mine's just right on that side of it, to the right of that.
There's only,
There are 2 dwellings in
yeah,
there.
there's only
Those are the 3 lots.
two structures.
That's what we're talking
Yeah, there's
about.
only 2 structures in that whole thing, so,
What you got?
here, we got it.
Yeah,
Well,
because-
if we have any questions, we'll ask you.
Okay, I was just gonna clarify where it is. I mean, I live right there. I know
Yeah,
this.
you're down here,
Yeah.
and then there's a
You come
structure
up
there.
You got, that's the, plane. Anyway, they rent that place out, and then my place is right there.
Yeah, and then we're talking back over
And
there.
there's, 2 pieces of
Next
space.
to right here.
Yeah, but there's only those 2 structures in that whole thing.
You also have.
Yeah.
There we have Christiansen Farms.
So,
But if you look across here, I get it, this is pretty developed.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
development, it's just
Pretty far out of town.
yeah,
I just. I feel like it would adversely affect the surrounding properties. Not itself, not the bordering property.
And we have it quiet in the audience, the recording
but the
picks up
valley, but the
everything,
valley
sorry.
Itself, it's a narrow little valley,
Yeah.
I get it, and winters are nasty there. They're,
yeah.
That's kind of my 2 cents, and I feel like it would adversely affect the surrounding properties. Once again, a single-family home, I think would be less obtrusive. I'm not totally against a dry camp only, and that would take care of water and sewer, but it still exists, the traffic and the full-time residents that are there, actually even more people. But it doesn't influence, water and septic if it was to keep dry.
Right.
Which also increases fire hazard.
Right.
so we know what are available.
Well, yeah, I mean, if any of those sites have a fire pit, you have a fire hazard right there, whether it's 1 or 30,
With no
Granted,
sewer.
there'd be,
and no way to put it out.
yeah, no way to put it out. And I'm sure they'd clear brush and kind of minimize fire danger. But the winds, the kids with
Yeah.
firecrackers, all, hypothetical things, but,
And nobody wants a small fire when they go camping,
no, bonfire, right?
so. Okay. So, let me ask staff, the tiny homes on wheels, how is those, are those regulated? How are they not?
They are regulated by building code depending on what type of tiny home they choose to purchase. There are some that are classified as RVs and there are some that are classified as tiny homes. And so we would assess whatever they were purchasing against the building code.
So, if they have one up there, whether it's a tiny home classification or an RV classification, but it's there year round, is
If-
it still not considered a permanent structure?
If it is under the tiny home classification and not the RV, it would be required to be on a permanent foundation if it meets the requirements of a dwelling.
Which is what?
Sleeping, kitchen, bathroom.
Okay. Whether those are hooked up or not, if it has it in plumbed for bathroom and kitchen, it's considered a home or a
It's
dwelling.
considered a dwelling and would need frost protection foundation.
Okay. Okay. Kyle, is this a county maintained road technically? Or is it a private road?
Director. So the road connecting Blazer Highway is a major collector, which is built for large amounts of traffic. A lot of these roads that we're talking on, this one in particular, is a private. So part of that would be, that standard for there would be kind of more on what the fire code would be, and that'd be like a 20-foot driving surface, and kind of go with that for the private road at least.
So it was plotted as a private road, not as a public road? Okay. Okay. Any other thoughts?
No, that's some of my concerns, yeah. It's a little ways out of lava, however you wanna say it, also. Yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
I'm still same concerns.
Okay. You ready to move through your findings then, or you wanna discuss some more?
I don't know where we're going with it, I guess.
Okay. We'll work through these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Five things and go from there. Ready? Okay. The proposed use would or would not adversely affect surrounding properties to a materially greater extent than would a permitted use in the district.
I think it would. It's zoned recreational, but this is for a CUP, so this doesn't fall under unless it goes into, I guess it'd be light industrial. But this does not fall into recreational zoning. one of the uses or purposes for it.
On the permitted uses, go back there. Permitted uses in a rec zone are the uses permitted within a residential suburban district or outdoor recreational uses such as skiing, tennis, stables, golf courses, commercial skating rinks, parks, swimming pools, and accessories, uses which are accessory to those listed above. Campgrounds are conditionally permitted in a rec zone. So, you have your code, if you look at the RS zone,
Suburban.
yeah, go to the permitted uses here. So all these are permitted uses in an RS zone. Which, again, single-family homes, duplexes, livestock on acreage, essentially. Those are permitted uses, and a lot less effect on the surrounding properties than a 30-spot campground.
For sure. Yeah. The recreational permitted, yeah. I found my recreational ones.
Right there. So these ones are all
Under a CUP.
under CUP, yeah.
Yeah.
So based on the permitted uses in a recreational district, I think the proposed use would adversely affect the surrounding properties.
I agree.
How?
We need our because, I know, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. The permitted uses are, how do I say it? Less intrusive. There's less noise with a single-family home than 30 campgrounds. Traffic was a major issue on those local roads. I understand the highway's probably gonna have increased traffic no matter what, but on those interior roads, a single-family home is gonna generate 5 to 6 trips a day. Campgrounds, you're talking
And
5 to 6 per campground, per camp spot, probably?
Yeah, a single family home, one well, one septic for use of that one single family dwelling, not 30 camp spots.
Right.
It could be a public water supply, go down another rabbit hole out of it.
Right. And single-family home is gonna have some sort of a, most likely, I would say, some sort of a fire buffer around it with landscaping and stuff like that, so. I lost my paper. Will you read back what you have, Hal, please?
Noise from increased traffic, voices, music, potential generator use in recreational vehicles will substantially disrupt the existing residential area and current residents' lifestyle.
It's a lot better than I said it, so,
I
thank you.
took parts and pieces of everything that you said as you discussed back and forth.
Perfect. Okay, the next one, the proposed use would cause an undue disruption of travel or an extraordinary increase in the volume of traffic in the vicinity of the proposed use. And we kind of discussed that. The permitted uses would generate probably less than, at least for a single family home, less than 10 trips a day. But on a campground, you're probably talking that many trips per camp spot.
Exactly, side by sides and 2 groups per camp spot, and you know how it goes. And so just exponentially to increase the traffic on Blazer Highway especially.
Yeah. And inside that little neighborhood significantly as well. Anything to add on that one?
Just thinking in addition to that, the private road, it's not public road, the maintenance of that road and potentially to, with a lot of snow, get stuck if they're year round, that kind of thing would be a burden, would be an undue disruption of travel to have RVs stuck, that kind of thing.
Okay. Will you read that back to us, Hal, please? He's still talking. Fair enough.
Traffic for 30 campsites will create an unusual amount of traffic when compared to the traffic generated by a single-family residence.
Okay. The next one, the proposed use
I don't think it would not.
would not damage the public health, safety, or general welfare within its vicinity or be materially injurious to properties or improvements in the vicinity. Would not?
What do you think?
I think if fire is a concern, that would be,
Okay. Safety, okay.
and to increase traffic to the general welfare. It's, the general welfare would be the general public, I'd think, right?
And traffic is B.
Long-time, full-time residents. So I think
Would.
it doesn't damage public health, maybe some safety you could put in there.
Let me back up and ask you this question, Chad. This is not meant to challenge. This is so that you can look at your language choice. What is your definition of general welfare?
That's a good question. Well, what is the definition meant in this sentence of the general welfare?
Correct.
Yeah.
And then the other item, just so that you can think about materially injurious, you could also use synonymous words as substantially harmful. So the proposed use would or would not damage the public health, safety, or general welfare within its vicinity or be substantially harmful to properties or improvements in the vicinity. So in what ways would it be substantially harmful to the general welfare, the safety, the public health, or would it not? Just in light of the fact that, for all intents and purposes, you just are creating traffic to and from. There's no sewer to be concerned of with a dry campsite. There's no issues of water. There is the potential of fire, but how is that?
And that's hypothetically, so.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so the general welfare, if a single-family dwelling might have a 6-year-old that wants to find out how matches work.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
could create the fire as
Yeah.
easy, so.
And on hypothetics, a lot of it,
I just need to make sure that in your findings, you have a defensible position of what draws you
You
to
bet.
your conclusion, okay? All right.
So with that,
I guess it's the definition, so you can't go on hypotheticals, so it would not be a damage.
So if you were to say public health, more specifically, public health would be, okay, the potential of contamination of the quote-unquote of the aquifer or surrounding water areas. Okay, we can deal with the issue of water runoff, but what happens if we now, the applicant comes in and says, I want to do a septic tank and a drain field for this facility? Okay, what are the chances of now creating damage to the general welfare of the public health through contamination of
That's still,
the water source
that's still
itself?
hypothetical though.
Correct.
Yeah.
But in light of the fact that he has claimed that he's doing a dry campsite, that particular issue goes away, so would not. He doesn't propose anything relative to water. So I'm just trying to have you identify all of the relative specifics in his application that do or do not.
Well, in his application, it did state a private well and septic tank.
right,
So that's in the application, but since it's been, I guess,
Modified in his verbal presentation.
yeah,
right. So we could say would not, because there is no proposed septic and drain field.
no possible
Which
contamination
would-
of aquifer or something like that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or the springs, as was mentioned by one of the public that are downhill of this. So without a septic and drain field, there's no possible contamination
For public health.
for groundwater
Yeah.
that would affect the public health. Anything else to add? Okay.
So would not.
Okay. I don't want to move on too fast.
The proposed use would not damage public health, safety, etc., due to the fact that the applicant has stated this campsite will be a dry campsite with no water and septic system available to the general public.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you. The next one, the proposed use would or would not be consistent with the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan of the county.
I don't have a copy of the current one, I just have the 2040, but I'm sure there's,
Yeah, their staff has some excerpts in their staff report.
So real quickly, there are some items in the staff report relative to public testimony. There was no public testimony against the goals and policies. So as it stands now, you have the staff report to justify your position.
It's on page 18 of the packet. Starts on 18.
where at? This packet here.
Yeah.
18, wrong way.
So couple things, because objective 1.5 says ensure the county's land use policies and regulations do not violate private property rights. And to me, that's looking at the subject property and the surrounding property and private property rights of the applicant and the neighbors around him. But then in policy 2.2.3 says actively promote recreation and tourism to ensure long-term growth of the industry for the benefit of the county residents, visitors, and taxpayers. And a campground would promote tourism. But based on the testimony tonight, I do feel like because of the area, there's a possibility of violating private property rights. So I'm a little torn on that. Thoughts?
It comes back to quite a ways out of Lava. And I don't know how we explain that or say it, but there is other campgrounds between this proposed spot and Lava still. And I don't know even how many miles is it,
Just as an FYI, Chad, that is not a defensible position.
It's 2.7 miles to.
Kind of deliberating, I'm not trying to put nothing here, I'm just asking questions with, you know, just thinking out loud. So,
But the comprehensive plan asks us to do both things, not violate property rights and support those. And so
Right.
really it is in support of the plan because that's in the plan and both those are in the pipeline.
Yeah.
from what we have here in the staff report, with the comprehensive plan, it does pretty much meet all of these. I know there's other parts in there that are trying to preserve the open recreational feel, or even though it's not zoned agricultural, but the open space feel. There's somewhere in there, but I couldn't tell you what it is. But as far as the comprehensive plan section, with what we have with the staff findings,
It would be consistent.
it would.
So it would be consistent
With the comprehensive plan.
with the comprehensive plan based on policy 2.2.3 and objective 1.5, right?
Actually, that was provided with the staff findings to us.
Correct.
Yep. 1.5.2.
1.5.2, ensure land use actions, decisions, and regulations align with the county's responsibility. Yeah.
Okay, staff has identified in the staff report that the use would be compatible with particular goals and policies of the comprehensive plan by protecting private property rights, promoting tourism, economic development, policy 2.2.3 and objective 1.5.
Yeah, that works. Okay.
All right.
Last one, the proposed use would or would not be designed to be as compatible in terms of building height, bulk, scale, setbacks, open space, and landscaping with adjacent uses as is practical.
There's no buildings, minus a little, well, not this one, I think the other ones.
Because it's a dry campground, there's no buildings.
Yeah, no permanent structures as of right now. I think this one shows a restroom or a bathhouse type thing on the application, but
But if structures were built in the future, they would have to conform with
Right.
the building height and setbacks and all that per the recreational zone anyway, so. But none are being proposed at this time. So I think it would be designed
some not applicable, you know, so open space,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Any temporary and/or permanent structures will be smaller in size than a single-family residence and be compatible in terms of height, bulk, and scale. And conditions, if you want to add any additional over and above. So as a reminder to council, conditions will need to be added, even though there are 2 of the 5 that are negative. In the event that the applicant should choose to appeal, that needs to be completed as part of your tasks this evening.
Okay.
Let me get to the findings here, page 15. I had a few of these down.
I think all the conditions that are recommendations, we should put the conditional also. With
1 through 7. Okay.
I had down, this is just preliminary, right? 1 through 4, the recommendation by the staff. Go to change number 5 to
Okay.
portable restrooms and omit 6 because that won't apply with a dry campground. And include 7.
Yep.
And I had, also include a flooding risk that should be included to what would be campers or whatnot. Something like that. It's in the next agenda item about that. I thought that should have been in the recommendation with this one also.
So council, the other one is in the floodplain, this one is outside of the floodplain.
So just the magical line right there?
Correct.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, okay.
So you're saying on condition 5, take out permanent and do portable restrooms only? Is that what you're saying?
So I'm just brainstorming here, Hal, so it's not for you to type, but if we do a conditional use permit and give an open to say, hey, yeah, you're okay to, eventually when you're ready to do a well and a septic, then go right ahead, just consult with the IDWR and SIF.
Just an FYI, that potentially could be considered a substantial change in the use, which means that Mr. Corbus would need to come back for an amendment to his conditional use permit, at which point we would then have the opportunity to review the existing conditions and place new.
And so I thought like it'd be number 8 or whatever number we're on with that same type of thing. If these changes were made,
It's gotta come back.
then they gotta come back.
Okay.
So real quickly, I was copy clipping the conditions into the findings. Would you review what your initial thoughts were relative to the conditions, Chad, please?
So I went with the staff ones, all 5, you want me to read them?
And no, just, you can give me the numbers of what,
So it's 1 through 4,
okay?
to keep those as it. I wanted to, at least I thought, change 5 from permanent or portable to portable only, so strike permanent.
Okay.
And then strike 6 completely, because with a dry camp, they don't need approval from the Southeastern Idaho Public Health. Keep 7 in there for quiet hours. And then staff informed me that the flooding risk, which is on the adjacent lots, is why it's in the floodplain. And so that's why it's in there.
Okay.
But so I don't think we need to include that in this.
And then adding that if a well or a septic is proposed in the future, the applicant must come back to review the CUP.
Yeah, review or, yeah. however.
Okay. Okay. We got those, Hal? Can we proceed to a motion?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so is somebody ready to do a motion?
I'll do a motion there. Who's tabling there? Are we talking about it later?
Tabling is, we would basically postpone our decision to the next meeting. Because we need more information or something like that. We gotta have a good reason to table it.
Yeah. Okay. You want me to read this motion?
If you're ready.
Yeah.
Either that or Crystal will do it.
Oh, George, say, go ahead.
Denial.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. I'd like to make a motion based on the record and the discussion this evening. I move to deny the request by Christian Cobus for a conditional use permit as described in the application materials as supplemented with additional information attached in the staff report and according to testimony received, and to adopt the proposed findings and order for signature by the chair or vice chair. If, how do I do this? The following conditions
Following
as
conditions,
discussed.
and I'll read them. All fire pits will be installed in accordance with Lava Rural Fire District. 2, adequate trash collection and disposal for the campground will be provided by the owner. 3, prior to campground opening, North Grouse Circle must meet private road standards according to the Bannock County Highway Standards and Roadway Development Procedures. 4, all tiny homes must meet the standards of a recreational vehicle according to the Idaho Department of Motor Vehicles. 5, portable restrooms are required while campground is open. 6, quiet hours will be from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And if a public water system and or sewer system is proposed in the future, the applicant will need to apply for a substantial change to this conditional use permit.
Can we change that last one and remove the word public? Just if a well or septic is proposed, or does
By
that have to?
definition, it will become a public water system because
Okay.
he will be serving more than X number of people. And
For more number of days.
by
Right.
standards, he has to classify it as a public water
Okay.
system.
Okay, I'm good with that then.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second the motion.
Okay, roll call please.
Stuart Ward,
Yes.
Chad Selenite,
Yes.
Spell that for me, please. Sorry. It gets me every time, Chad, sorry.
My last name?
I'm good.
Yeah.
and Crystal Mattson.
Yes.
Okay. Motion to deny is approved 3-0. Okay. Next item, number 5, is a conditional use permit for a campground. Martin Sanders petitions for conditional use permit to create a gift shop and a 25-spot campground on approximately 6 acres. The affected property is known as parcel RPR RIFL 001200. It's currently unaddressed. Proposed hours of operation for the campground are 24 hours, 7 days a week. Private well and septic are being proposed. Proposed hours of operation for the gift shop to be 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, Mr. Sanders.
I'm Martin Sanders, 986 Bryan Street, Pocatello. And I'd like to clarify some things first off with my application. And I have a letter that it's from Kathleen Price. It's an email that I sent after I received some feedback from her pertaining to my changes. And I made several trips out here to try to make these changes before the notice got put into the public. So if I could read this real quick. I just wanted to clarify some things on my CUP. I do not intend to have a septic system or a well, but instead plan to have 2 porta potties on site, including a handicap-friendly one near a handicap parking slot. These will be rented from a local established company and be serviced and cleaned weekly, with the waste hauled off via that company. Non-drinking water will be held in a small holding tank with a gravity-fed hose to clean pay dirt material. My intent is not to have a campground. My intent is to start a family-oriented business of cleaning pay dirt to find gemstones. No chemicals will be utilized at all on site. I'd like a circular parking lot with 10 individual parking slots. Each will have a picnic table numbered to match the parking slot. In addition, I'd like 10 tent sites for potential overnight camping available for long distance travelers. 2 teepees will be on site for Native American campers to honor the history in that area. Those will be free for Native people. 3 RV sites are requested for family and friends of my own. They're not to be rented out. They will be self-contained and periodically hauled to an off-site waste disposal facility to dispose of the waste. Lastly, the potential and asked for gift shop will most likely be just a metal storage container or a boxcar powered by solar. This is completely off-grid, water, power, and potentially an eco-friendly quiet running generator. It's mainly for storage. I don't care if it's a gift shop initially, but my plan originally was to build an Old West style storefront, gift shop, wood sidewalk that would, would not be an eyesore to the public. Other than that, I think you understand where I'm coming from, and I would ask that you don't include my application because it's separate from the one above me in your discussions. Because it feels like your body language is obvious against it. That's pretty much all I have to say. I have a map here I'd like to introduce to you guys, if you would welcome it. It's different than what I've got up there.
It's different than this one here?
Yes. This is what I'm proposing. Also, I'm very aware of the riparian area, the canal that's at the lower section of my property. There will be nothing below that. I never intended that. My purpose there is completely for nature. There are springs, but there will never be a footstep below that canal. only time people would camp at a tent site, which I'm only asking for 10 to go along with the parking slots, is potentially for the overnighter. I believe most people will come and go during the business hours of operation. When I purchased it, there was a fire pit and I enhanced it for my own personal camping, but I don't intend to use that. I'm very aware of the hazards and I would completely comply with all standards of the county in regards to that fire pit.
The two big dots, are those the teepees on here? The two
If
big
I could
ones?
approach you,
Yeah.
yes, and actually I have here's a smaller one that has a,
Yeah, gotcha. Teepees there, that'd be the gift shop, and these would be the tent sites.
yes, as well as the parking slot, you know, and so the handicap area would be this porta potty and this parking slot. Secondary porta potty would be here. On the application, when it said private, as far as the restroom, I in my mind that was porta potty. So it's very clear now that it's not. I've tried to make that change, and so I hope you guys understand.
That's your comment. Okay, you guys got any questions for me?
So, okay, so 2 porta potties you said, 1 normal, 1 ADA compliant,
Absolutely.
but no drinking water. You're not providing any drinking water on site.
No, I mean I may cooler some in there just for people during the heat of the summer.
Right, but you're not.
Yeah.
You're not going to drill.
No.
Your plan is not
No.
to drill a well for drinking water or anything like that.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And if you read the application itself, it's to bring families in, to have a spot that's different as far as cleaning, pay dirt, no on-site digging. Ore bags will be provided from off-site mines. So I want a table for each slot. We're gonna have a sifting area, screens. I'll have a clawfoot bathtub there with water, one of them. People can wash off whatever they find in their bag.
So is that all in one location, or each tent space will have its own
Picnic
cleaning?
table. Yeah,
its own
each
cleaning
space
spot.
would have its own table theoretically and its own screening stand. So individually, they have one bag of pay dirt that they dump into a screen, sift it, wash
Right.
it.
No, but yeah, and I understand how it works. I'm just asking, that's not gonna all happen in one spot where everybody congregates to
No.
one location to do that.
Right.
You're talking in 10 individual spots to do that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the only permanent, kind of, you could call them somewhat permanent, but would be the teepees and what would be said gift shop. And the other tent spots are individuals or people that are coming their own tents.
Just long distance travelers that,
So are you providing the tents? Are they gonna stay up all summer? Or are they?
no, and I don't intend or even expect many people to camp in their tents. But I just figured if they're long distance traveling, they have an option to have a tent site near their parking slot. And they would be numbered 1 through 10. The teepees more or less is to honor the history of that valley. I already own the teepees. And so I think it's a beautiful landscape. I've heard feedback from people across the valley before when I only had teepees up for my personal family and their use, how cool it looked. But I understand the opposition. I understand the concern. But this is a lot different than other things we're hearing today.
You guys have any other questions?
So I just want to make it clear that you mentioned that in your mind, it's not a campground, cause it's mostly a business for the washing of the pay dirt, right?
Right.
But if there's any possibility of an overnight, we have to consider it as a campground, no matter what. So that's, that, just so you know, that's where we're gonna be at.
Okay.
Is we have to look at it as a campground
Yeah.
if you're proposing any overnight camping
Yeah, and
that
if-
you're renting out to somebody else.
If that's a make or break deal, I can
So-
eliminate the potential of 10 tents.
Well, I think that changes our application. If it goes from a campground to now a business, it's a completely different application that we can't address tonight. You would have to come back for just the business side of it and not the campground side of it.
Yeah, whatever I gotta do.
So-
I wanna create a spot that kids get off their cell phones and their devices and families can have core memories. And I know these places are in Montana and some are in northern Idaho, and I'd like to bring it 2.7 miles from Lava to this valley.
And I completely understand your vision. I just, like I said, we have to, if you're proposing any overnight, we have to consider it as a campground, so.
Alright,
Okay, any other questions or comments for the applicant?
No.
Okay. Thank you. Can we have both of these, or do you want one
oh,
of these back?
absolutely, no, you can.
Okay, staff.
Elise Foster subdivision planner. You've had the packet in front of you with the staff report. It was noticed as a campground for 25 spots, and in that notice, it did address a gift shop in that notice. Does council have any questions?
Was it also in that application about the private well and septic? In the initial application?
Yes.
Yes.
It was, but he did include
Yeah, you bet.
the letter, or the email to and from the health department on that, so.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Did you guys like that?
I think we have it in our
We got it.
packet. Yeah, we have it. Thank you.
I do have a question about that as far as the storage container. Would that be on a permanent foundation? What would be the requirements for that?
So that would fall under building code, depending on what was proposed for a structure and depending on building code, number of people going in and out. It may fall under commercial structure, it may not fall under a commercial structure, so we would have to assess that based on the building permit that was submitted. But they would need some type of building permit, development permit in order to place that on there.
If by chance he decides to revise his application and remove the camp spots, is it still a CUP for that business?
I did look, it would fall under the retail category, which is a conditional use permit in this zone.
Okay, so it's a CUP either way.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay.
Can I also ask about setbacks in the wetland floodplain?
There are setbacks, it's 100 feet from a riparian area. You can build in the floodplain in Bannock County. You just have to have a FEMA permit in addition. It does not appear that the applicant is proposing to build in the peak zone.
Could I speak real quick? My research on a riparian byway is not the floodplain, but the Portage River, which is across the highway several hundred feet away from the highway.
I wouldn't disagree with you necessarily, but based on the FEMA map, there is a portion of your parcel that is in the flood zone.
Flood zone, yes,
Yes,
but not
not the-
riparian vital. State
Correct.
laws.
Riparian and flood zone are not necessarily the same. So, yeah. Okay. I gotta find my first. Okay, anything else for staff? Okay, we'll go to public hearing. We'll do those that don't wanna testify first. Okay. Alwyn Call opposes, does not wish to testify, creates too much traffic on Blazer Highway and on Pheasant Drive, creates too much noise for the valley. Emily Olson. Blazer is too small and a road for additional traffic. Already have local campground that not all being used. Wetlands, sorry, I can't read this. Wetlands connected to the river and pollution from building and excess use of land. More traffic across the road in Indian Falls development. I think I got that right. Ellen Christiansen. Sewer and water systems will affect local water system. Traffic will really increase. Lot drainage not taken care of. Okay. Sarah Reese.
Okay, Sarah Reese, I'm at 163 Bald Eagle, Lava. And I would just propose to the, what is it, council or commission, sorry. Council. That this applicant is going to conflict with the surrounding residential uses due to noise, light, litter, and dust. The application was for 25 campgrounds, and I think that that is not, that is going to conflict with our surrounding residential uses.
Sarah, can you hang on 1 second? Sorry. Did it stop recording?
Yeah.
That's not good. Sorry, we gotta make sure we get everything recorded.
We'll start.
Yeah. Just reset our time.
Yeah. Don't know how long ago it stopped recording.
Oh. Okay, we're good?
Sorry.
Okay. Let's just start all the way over with your name.
All right, my
Sorry.
name is Sarah Reese. I live on Bald Eagle in Lava. My concerns are that, that this application, which was submitted for 25 campgrounds, is going to conflict with the surrounding residential uses for the noise, light, litter, and dust. I think that all of those will be in conflict with the current residents. I'm also very concerned with this application that the drainage from the parking lots and from the buildings will have an impact on the wetlands that they're right next door to. I understand that the current applicant is hoping probably to address that, but who's going to be policing that? Right now, we have lots of, that's also my concern. We're way out there. I think that as far as the county's concerned, we sometimes get forgotten. So we have these laws in place, but who's going to be the one that enforces them? And those are my concerns that I would ask the council to think about and then to deny the application at the current time for. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Glenn Christiansen. I got it right this time.
Glenn Christiansen, Blazer Highway, Lavot Spring. Now, a question for you, is he going after the campground, or are we doing something different?
Currently, it is still for a campground, yes. So you can testify as a campground, or as if it would be a campground, yes.
Okay. Well, I'm concerned about the water in the sewer system contaminating below the canal and that riparian area down there. That, also the runoff from that field going into the riparian area and the canal going into that. Okay, and then there's no plan to collect the drainage water off the fields or anything like that. I don't see anything like that. That's about what I have. And the increased traffic, you got on the other one, the upper one, and this one, you're doubling the traffic for that campground. So.
Thank you. Candace Simmons.
Candace Simmons on Simmons Road, 11. Real quick, I invite you out for an on-site view to make decisions without actually seeing it, what you're up against. Is ill-advised. Also, this wastewater that he's going to have is non-indigenous. It's wherever the heck it's from. And that's going to be running into the canal. The canal runs into Portneuf. That's not an ideal thing to have happen. Also, this, you say it's recreational. Well, yes, it's recreational. Let me give you a little history lesson. Years ago, in about 78, Judy Harmon plopped a 40,000 acre recreational block right there at Lava. Okay. They leapfrogged, they spot zoned, they did everything wrong. And it's still wrong because you have recreational property that's not suited for recreation. And you deny people because there's too much recreation property available that is suited for recreation. And we've had this conversation 40 years ago. Now, also, let's get on to campsites and things bring drunks, speeders, domestic problems. Our cops are right now having a hard time keeping up with anybody and anything. And you're going to increase the demand then. And also, is there going to be a camp host to take care of some of these problems, or are they just going to filter out to forest residents? There's going to be a lot of pollution. There's just no way to get out of it. There's going to be extreme, there's a narrow, when you look, you'll come through out on Blazer, there's a little metal bridge there. I've seen numerous near misses of kids and whatnot and bikers because there's no room for them. When they put that little bridge in and redid it, I tried to get the county to put a little walkway on the side of it to get the pedestrians to be safe, because I have seen too many near misses, and half of them are people I love. Also, you're going to have a lot of kids, just a lot of kids put in harm's way by the snakes, by the traffic, let alone fire and ingress. I mean, when you did Indian Falls way back when, in 78, you had, the ordinances were 2 ingresses and egresses. Now you good old boy did on down to 1. You did away with them.
That's your time, man.
So, okay, well, what I'm saying is, how come there's not 2 ingresses and egresses per thing to keep people a lot safer?
Okay, thank you. Charles Olson.
Charles Olson, 6912 Pheasant Drive. Kinda got blindsided on this one. I'll just treat it like it's gonna be a campground. I did have some notes here about sifting the dirt and everything. Another thing that should be considered is there's a sheep herder who owns a big chunk of that mountain up there. And he runs his sheep down there, 200, 300, 400, 500 at a time. And lets them graze. He doesn't have a dog running them. They just kind of graze up on the side of the mountain there. And they come down into the yurts of the world and mess around down there. So this gentleman's gonna consider that when he does his business. Another thing is that's not level ground in there. It's gonna have to have a lot of dirt work. The yurts of the world, they were there for months with heavy equipment, leveling out the pads for their yurts, and dug a huge septic system there that's like, I mean, big. You have to go see it. And that's, if you wanna have any kind of semi-permanent operation, you're gonna have something like that. Because I used to run a contracting business in Arkansas, and we had one outfit that had a community septic system, and the company who ran that system went bankrupt. Then another company came in, he went bankrupt, and ended up the sewage just pouring out on the ground, going down the lake. So you have to have that airtight, whatever, if they're gonna have any kind of septic system, porta potties or anything, you have to have somebody that's gonna be on notice, on time, and on site. And another thing, just for the community's information, it was just a small sign, I'm not sure if that's a standard sign, but it was set up on a snow bank right on the edge of the road. And we saw it, stopped, turned around, and went back and looked, oh, okay, they're gonna have a meeting. And that was the only information we'd gotten on this meeting, so, just for your information. And if you have any kind of activity like this, you're gonna have alcohol, drugs. Matter of fact, I had a friend in Lava, and I moved him. He moved up into Montana. He said, I didn't like it here because I woke up one Sunday morning as a drunk sleeping on my lawn. So I went to Montana.
That's your time, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. J.C. Smith.
J.C. Smith, 7245 South Cross, in Lava there. And like I said before, I like Martin there, and I don't blame him for what he wanted to do. But all the impact, I mean, when you have people there, it's a free-for-all when they get out of town. And I don't know who's gonna police it, probably me, which is a bunch. But the roads, and I don't know why, but the planning and zoning for years would not let anyone build over there till the road was put to county specs. That was the way the county was. When Blaine Franson built that building there, I got thrown out the window. We don't even have a paved approach on the road, on Quail Road. Why? Everybody else has to. Blaine didn't have to. Are these guys gonna have to? Or are we gonna have to put it up there, fix the road to county specs so that fire and ambulance can get in there? And if he is gonna put campgrounds, it sounds like he's wanting to change it, and that's fine. It's just, you know, the fire hazard on that side is unreal. I won't have the fire when it gets late in the year, because you get a gust of wind and I've seen those sparks go a long ways. So it's a main concern to me, plus all the traffic up and down the road. And if you really want to come out on a weekend and sit there on my driveway and see, I almost need flashing lights and stop signs at the crossroads right there coming off the hill. Because they're just crazy drivers. I don't know why they think they have to do the speed 50, 60 mile an hour up and down the road, but they do. And, you know, and then I gotta put up with all the traffic coming in and out of there all the time, which is just a pain in my butt. But not really wanting to tell Martin no, but this isn't going next to his house, it's going next to mine. And I don't think Martin would want it right next to his house, or any of you guys. Would you guys want this right next to your house? With the excess traffic and dogs and people and everything? It was originally, all that building, or all those lots were sold for homes, not campgrounds. And that's what it was set up for. And there's enough of it just with Blaine's stuff running up and down the road. So, I don't blame him, but I don't want it, so.
Thank you. Shelley Call.
Shelley Call, 1696 South Pleasant Drive. Losing my voice. Some of the things I've been listening to, you said you're going to consider the campground. Drugs was mentioned, personal experience, moving up here, I had a son that became a drug addict. He got all his drugs from Lava. He is now well. I almost lost him a lot. It's a personal choice, but I don't want any of that closer to where I live. To try to lose his son and knowing that he can say, oh mom, you can buy this campground, you can do this. I don't want that. I don't want it up by my house. My child's alive. I don't want people coming in with their liquor. Again, I said before, we moved there because we were far enough away from Lava that we didn't have to be in the party. We don't go into Lava on the weekends except to church. I don't want to be in there, it's just crazy. I work in Lava, but I don't want to be there. And another thing that really does worry about me, well, one thing I was thinking, if he was doing it for sifting, where's that extra dirt going? If he's doing it for sifting gems, where's that extra dirt going to fall? And you say that even a campground, there's people in Indian Falls that go down by a river and think they can park there, and it's not even a campground. So I don't think anybody can say they're not going to camp overnight, because a lot of people camp anywhere. And there's nobody, and then again, we've had our own problems in Indian Falls, but there's nobody there to supervise. Nobody. And I can go on about some situations, but I don't need to do that. But I just don't think it's a safe place to have any more campgrounds, any more sifting dirt or whatever, because it's just going to bring all what's going on in Lava. Yes, it's a fun place. Yes, people want to have businesses. I understand that. But I don't want it to go out of Lava. I want to feel safe where we purchased our home. And that's why we moved up here. And I think that is important, because you're saying it's not a danger. It is a danger. When you have all those campgrounds coming in, all those people coming in. I've been there with my son. It's ugly, and I don't want it out in that area. And nobody in this room, nobody can tell me that's not going to happen.
Thank you.
Okay. That was was everybody. Do you want to address any of the comments?
Maybe a couple. I'm glad she brought up the clean dirt, and if you look at the map I gave you, our intent is to put the cleaned paved dirt in the center of that parking lot area.
In the big circle?
Yeah,
Okay.
right in the middle. And we're gonna probably intend to reuse that dirt. Or haul it off simply. So, the other thing is the sloping that was brought up, as far as developing the parking lot area. The areas that I have indicated where there is to be something is pretty much the flat area on that land. Now, both sides, it does have sloping hills, but there's gonna be very minimal excavating to create that circular road, basically, is what it is.
Okay.
Other than that, I won't have any other comments until you guys have questions for me.
Okay. Thank you.
I got a question on the tailings
Yeah.
for you. I mean, are you talking a pickup truck load, or are you talking,
Well,
you
the
know,
bags,
a
the
side
bags are
dump?
small, right?
Mhm.
This size. And
Yeah.
so at some point, if the pile gets 4 feet tall, 5, 6 feet around, we could take those tailings and rebag them and plant stuff for people, or we can simply just haul that off site.
So where is the dirt coming from?
We are getting from several mines throughout the region and out of state.
And out of state. It rains.
Depending on, you know, the mine. Each mine has its own gems and minerals, right? I mean, you can go to an opal site and that's what you're gonna get. But we wanna bring in different mine pay dirt so people have a different option, whether they wanna find a topaz or a red beryl or a tourmaline, or, you know. So, we plan to ship it in from all over the place.
Thank you.
But not in mass quantities, we're talking small amounts that can be stored in, you know, a storage container. It's a small operation. And again, it's during business hours.
Okay. Any other questions you have?
No, I don't have any.
I had a question about the camp host situation. Like, is there anyone on site planned to be after 5 p.m.?
There would be if there were campers there. That's why the personal campers were asked for. So if someone's planning to spend the night in a tent, definitely we would have somebody on site spending the night in the personal use camp trailer. And I know from experience, there is a watchdog that's down the street that's talked to you tonight, and I appreciate him for that. I would do the same thing.
Okay. I don't have any. No other questions? Okay. Okay, we'll start our discussion and go through our findings. What are your initial thoughts?
And our findings are with as a campsite. That's the way they seem to be written.
Correct. Yes.
The current application is for a campsite.
Right.
Yeah, and so that's how I would classify it.
Very similar to
Yeah.
the previous, yeah.
You know,
And, yeah, so we do have to look at it as a campsite, campground. The application says 25, the applicant in his testimony said 10. So when we get to our findings and conditions, we may want to address the number of campsites that we want to put on.
Maybe revising an application. So, but deemed as a campsite, I think if we could copy and paste almost. Are we on A, that where we're at, or are we just talking?
I don't know, you ready to go through findings or we want to discuss it?
Well, I think being classified as a campground in the application, it's very similar. Regardless of intent, regardless of how many spots or everything, it's still a campground.
Still the same.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that has to, I think, that has something to do with our decisions. This is just talking again. If it was for a day use thing, at least me personally, I'd look at it a little different. But that would be a separate application. That would be a commercial type of thing. But one back again to a campground. So that's where I'm at with that, and so very similar. Just a campground classification. Once again, regardless of what kind of structures, what kind of camping spots, still a campground.
Right.
Findings?
Do you want to move through the findings then? Okay. Findings and then we'll go. Conditions, okay. The proposed use would or would not adversely affect surrounding properties to a materially greater extent than would permitted use in the district. And I think we discussed that campgrounds in that area would.
Because without a CUP, it is not permitted in the recreation district or going to residential, recreational suburban.
Residential suburban.
Yeah. Both campground was a CUP on both of those, right? No.
It's a CUP and recreational, but permitted uses are the same in both zones.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's almost a copy and paste, but I know we are supposed to separate it.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you remember, permitted uses were single-family homes, duplexes, that kind of stuff in residential suburban. And this use as a campground would increase traffic, noise, light pollution, all that kind of stuff, more than would a single-family home.
Yeah, I agree.
Is Hal not ready for us? Just kidding. Just kidding. Hal.
Noise, excuse me, noise from increased traffic, voices, music, potential generator use will substantially disrupt the existing residential area and current residents' lifestyle.
Perfect. B, the proposed use would cause an undue disruption of travel or an extraordinary increase in the volume of traffic in the vicinity of the proposed use.
Based on the applicant's application with 25 camp spots, even though he may have reiterated it's 10 camp spots, we're going off the application. Once again, 25 camp spots, that's potentially a lot of traffic, right?
Even 10 camp spots
Yeah.
is significantly more traffic than a single-family home or a duplex in
Absolutely.
that area. So in that little neighborhood, there's definitely going to be an extraordinary increase in traffic, the volume of traffic with a campground.
See, no, just listen to it.
Yeah. See, tell me if I move too fast, Hal. The proposed use would not damage the public health, safety, or general welfare within its vicinity or be materially injurious to the properties or improvements in the vicinity. He's proposing portable bathrooms,
Yes,
and
dry
no septic.
camps, that's where we went with damage to the public, that wouldn't be interfere to an aquifer or drainage because of the dry camp proposal.
No water.
And no well water. Any water used would be non-potable. Any water brought in for the activities would be non-potable. Turn it around. The proposed use would be consistent with the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan of the county. The proposed use is supporting, I lost it, recreation and tourism, or promoting recreation and tourism.
I think they're the same objectives, I'm just
Yeah.
reading through on the findings here.
Objective 1.5, land use policies and regulations do not violate private property rights. So we had objective 1.5, policy 2.2.3. Anything to add on that one? Okay. The last one, the proposed use would or would not be designed to be as compatible in terms of building height, bulk, scale, setbacks, open space, and landscaping with adjacent uses as is practical.
Alright, I'm catching back up here. Wrong page. So it would be, proposed use would be designed to be as compatible in terms of building height. What's proposed is, no permanent structures. Well, you did have a gift shop.
The potential gift shop would have to comply with setbacks and building height and all that stuff. Yeah.
And if they're not already, I think the findings in the staff findings would be a condition.
Setbacks and landscaping requirements will be met and addressed at the time the development of the use occurs. Is that what you're talking about?
No, yeah. If, the condition.
Yeah. So it would be designed to be compatible.
In terms of building height, bulk, scale.
Yeah. And those things will be addressed as permits are applied for. So.
Sure.
Okay. Conditions, do we want to address changing the conditions, adding conditions?
So, Dave, if I can get there again, fast enough.
Similar to the other one. striking that duplication on the health department for the restrooms.
Number 5.
Yeah, so it was conditions with the staff recommendations. What I had is 1 through 4. Strike 5. 6 and 7 in there also, include 6 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
Change 4 to
We have 4 to
portable.
portable restrooms, so strike permanent on 4, sorry, Hal.
Permanent or portable restrooms only.
Yeah, portable restrooms are required while campground is open. And strike number 5, and 6 and 7, use those. And I think we included one that if a public septic and water system was proposed, then it would have to come back here.
We did add that one to the other application, yep. Do you want that same?
Same wording, I guess, if I can find it now.
Okay. Did you get all that, Hal?
I have a
Okay. All right. Are we ready for motion, more discussion?
We're ready.
Okay.
You want me to go this time?
Yep. That's question.
Are you ready? Based on the record and discussion this evening, I move to deny the request by Martin Sanders for a conditional use permit as described in the application materials as supplemented with additional information attached in the staff report and according to testimony received, and to adopt the proposed findings and order for signature by the chair or vice chair with the following conditions. Be the staff 1 through 4. I think it was strike 5.
We need to read them.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to read them or not.
all fire pits will be installed in accordance with Lava Rural Fire District. 2, adequate trash collection and disposal for the campground will be provided by the owner. 3, prior to campground opening, northbound circle must meet private road standards according to the Bannock County Highway Standards and roadway development procedures. 4, portable restrooms are required while campground is open. 5, the owner shall provide potential risk of flooding to overnight campers. 6, quiet hours will be from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And 7, if public water system and or sewer system is proposed in the future, the applicant will need to apply for a substantial change to this conditional use permit.
Okay. So we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Stuart Ward,
Yes.
Chad Selenite,
Yes.
Crystal Mattson.
Yes.
Okay. Motion to deny carries 3-0. Okay. You guys are welcome to stay if you want for the rest of the meeting, or you're good to go, either way.
Can I address you just for 1 minute, not concerning this at all?
At the very end of the meeting, we open it up for public comment.
Okay.
So, if you guys are okay, if we can take a 5-minute break.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll come back at 7:30. Okay. Tell me when you're ready, Marge.
Ready?
Okay. All right. Next item on the agenda is number 6, comprehensive plan adoption. Bannock County proposes to adopt a new comprehensive plan in accordance with State Code 676509. Planning and Development Council shall conduct at least one public hearing to recommend material change to the plan, and this will be a recommendation to the county commissioners. So, applicant is the county, so
Quickly, Hal Jensen, Planning Director, Bannock County. In your packet, you were provided the rewrite and update and edits of the comprehensive plan. The current comprehensive plan adopted March 16th of 2021. We have many different methods of community outreach that we have done. Most of them occurred between September 18th and January 15th of 25. Excuse me, let me change that language. 2 work sessions were done with council September 18th, 2024, and then again January 15th of 2025. We had many different community outreach meetings in the fall and early winter of 2024. We have noticed this appropriately. We've received agency comments from the City of Pocatello, Portland Greenway, and the Portland Health Trust. At this time, we have no public comments, and we want to know if you have any concerns, comments, edits, changes to any language as it's been presented to you prior to taking action on whether or not you recommend or go back and make changes.
My only question is, what are staff's thoughts on the agency comments that have been received? You support them? Do you not support them?
Yes and no.
Okay.
We received a letter from the City of Pocatello from Brent McLean, Planning Director, requesting that we change our plan to match theirs. We had conversation with Commission's comment was, no, we have control over that land. We have been instructed new area of city impact are to be renegotiated by the end of the year with all cities, etc. We're content with the language of where we're at.
Okay. What about the Health Trust and the Greenway? Do you have any concerns with their?
No.
Okay. Okay.
That was one of my questions also, was the green.
From the last work session that we had, nothing's really changed in the plan that I could tell. Just minor things here and there, if I remember right, but nothing major.
Yeah, there are items from the Greenway Trust from Dan Harrelson that we've taken under advisement. Those will be items that will be more discussed and negotiated as we talk about areas of city impact and some of the things that we do, because it's difficult for us as a county to develop the greenway and trail system and bike paths, etc. A county is not necessarily in the business of providing that.
Right.
So we recognize it. We'll continue to have those ongoing discussions as the plan moves forward, ordinance rewrite, areas of city impact. We have a lot on our plate this year in the next 9 months to accomplish. We recognize those concerns and that they are good additions to an overall health of the community, but that's more specific to City of Pocatello and Chubbuck, not necessarily the county in general. So those will be more directed discussions when we renegotiate areas of city impact with the 2 larger communities versus the smaller communities.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's helpful. another comment that I had when I read through it, just the spacing, and it's a formatting issue. Just words running together, words that don't make sense because it's all scrunched together because of the justification.
Repeat that for me,
The
please.
justification on the spacing,
The formatting
Yes.
of the
formatting, you have words that run together with no spaces in between. The county, there's no space between THE and then county.
Yep. Okay. Anyway, if there's any other items relative to language or changes substantially, we would like to know tonight. If not, we would ask that you make a recommendation to the commission.
Okay.
Didn't have anything else.
Okay. Did you have
No,
anything
I don't have
on
any.
language or anything?
No.
Okay. All right. We'll go through public hearing. Looks like we've got 3. We got 1 for support and 2 neutral. So we'll start with support. Dan Harrelson supports, does not wish to testify. Says, I've been working with Fort Hall Irrigation Project to help preserve their canal right-of-way for bicycle pedestrian paths. I encourage the county to adopt ordinances that will preserve the canal right-of-way in rapidly developing areas. And he's the one that wrote the letter from the Greenway Foundation, so I think his letter expounds on what he's looking for there too. Let's see, neutral, both of these want to testify, so Devin Hillam. Three minutes.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Commission. Appreciate the time. Devin Hillam, City of Chubbuck Community Services Director, 290 East Linden, Chubbuck. I had a letter written and then I got the flu last week and then the deadline passed, so that's why I'm here tonight. I do want to say this has been a great plan. I'm largely supportive of this plan. There's just a couple little elements that I am requesting for a couple little tweaks here. But there's been a lot of work put into this by staff. I'm appreciative of the outreach and of the opportunity to come and comment this evening. I'm very supportive of strategy 2.2.2, which is to establish an ordinance that bridges the gap between traditional rural county development and urban development, and for the proposals to revise the area of city impact. We know this is just coming from the state code. But having an ordinance, an area of city impact agreement that achieves this will enable the higher allowed densities of the residential suburban area that has been placed around the city of Chubbuck to more easily annex into the future. Lower densities create some issues, but so too does the 1 acre density. So we're optimistic that we can work through some agreements to create some potential infill down the road to maximize those efficiencies and hopefully decrease the tax base across all of Bannock County as we maximize our efficiencies over time. As we do work towards that, there are a couple items that I'd suggest as adding the strategies. They largely tie upon what Mr. Harrelson has already commented on. We are working towards a Greenway master plan with them. We've had a lot of discussions over a couple of years with the Fort Hall Irrigation Project. I would ask for to first start strategy on new one, 1.3.6. This one deals with your actual vehicular transportation. That would be support the long-term transportation needs of the community by exacting the rights of way and easements at the development stage, so at your subdivision stages, especially along arterials and collectors. Although the built roadways may not be the long-term width, ensuring adequate rights of way will decrease the public costs in the future and preserve existing housing and structures. The additional item that I would ask that gets added ties into what Dan had commented on. I would suggest 1.3.7, recognizing that multimodal transportation is a critical factor for transportation systems and for quality of health and life for residents. Work with the Portneuf Greenway Foundation, the Fort Hall Irrigation Project, and the City of Chubbuck to develop a canal trail greenway system. Exact the public recreational easements as they are platted. This is what we do in the city on both of those elements for streets and for the canal trails. Easy, we've never had a problem with that. Fort Hall Irrigation Project, I got told 6 years ago it was gonna be crazy if I went and asked them if we could do a canal trail there, and they've been very receptive to the idea. We've got kind of a golden time period right now to work towards that with their current staff, so we would like to maximize that, realizing the county's not in the business of building and maintaining those trails. The Greenway Foundation is a phenomenal partner and has stepped up across the city of Pocatello mostly to maintain those trails. And just as a note, to kind of reaffirm that, we're wrapping up our current comprehensive plan update, and in our surveys, over 62% of respondents, all of whom are also
That's time.
Chubbuck residents,
That's fine.
support the Greenway trails.
Do you have a letter you want to submit to us?
No, I just read most of it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ben Gardner.
I'd like to thank the council and staff for taking the time. It's been quite a lengthy meeting. Appreciate the time away from your families. And I hope that me coming here tonight isn't a waste of you guys' time. I
Just need your name and address
Due to the
first,
process. Sorry, Ben Gardner. My address is 14723 West Chubbuck Road. I'm here today in regard to 14788 West Chubbuck Road. I can give you a parcel number if that would be helpful. It's RPR 385-300-6700. So I'm here tonight. I saw that it was on the agenda, the comprehensive plan. I'm more specifically looking at the future land use map. As part of the county's comprehensive plan discussed in this meeting, I would like to put forward a request to consider the change of the future land use map on part of said property from residential suburban to light industrial. I'm in the very beginning phase of doing a minor land division and subdividing the 4.14 acres into 4 lots. These 2 acres I intend to keep the current zoning of residential suburban. The west 2 lots I intend to change the zoning to light industrial. The west side of the property has shared frontage with light industrial zoning gravel pit across the street. And it is where I built a shop to store equipment used for my tree removal service. I was recently approached by another local company that builds roof trusses that's in need of a new operating location. I asked about leasing the shop and surrounding space to make the zoning conducive to this type of business. I'm beginning the process of subdividing and rezoning. I've done a parcel determination on the property and have started gathering bids for surveying for the minor land division. Again, I'm here tonight to present to the council for consideration to change the future land use map of the west 2.14 acres from residential suburban to light industrial. Within the next few weeks, as part of the minor land division process, I will apply to change the zoning of those west 2 lots to light industrial, and hope that your consideration to this change tonight will avoid the need to amend the map in the coming weeks. I appreciate you guys' time in considering the matter.
Any questions for him? Are you waiting to see the map?
I'm confused.
Sorry, Danny. 14788. Oh, that's it. You gotta pull it up here.
Okay, so repeat what you're wanting to do in less words.
Less words. So you got 4 acres there. I want to subdivide it into 1 acre, approximate 1 acre lots. You can see there's a shop already in place. So the west 2 lots that share adjoining property with light industrial, I hope to change to light industrial to better facilitate. I use it for more of a storage purpose for my business, but like I said, a new opportunity has presented itself for a trust building business. So
Mark, exit out of that and turn on zoning, current zoning, please. So you can see down on the lower left-hand corner, he has adjacency to light industrial, and you would like to at some point, change that acreage to light industrial. Real quickly, Mr. Gardner's request is understood. However, state statute requires that if we were to amend the comprehensive plan, future land use map, the entire parcel as it stands now would be changed. Ordinance and state statute does not allow you and does not recommend that you partially zone a property with two zones. So it's either one or the other. He's got a little bit of the cart ahead of the horse, we understand that, but under the requirements of state statute, it would be needed to amend the future land use map for the entire parcel, not partially. So
if we did that,
it'd just be a recommendation to the commission that that particular parcel be changed on the future land use map to light industrial. End of discussion.
right, but looking at his specific situation, if for some reason in the future that whole thing's not industrial use,
correct?
We're doing a zone change or maybe a future land use map change on other parcels out there, correct? Or can you do a conditional use for like a residence in a light industrial?
Correct.
Okay.
We wouldn't be changing his zone, we'd be changing the future land use map. So he would remain residential suburban and could build a house in it, but if he chose to rezone it to light industrial, he would have the ability to do that.
Easier.
Easier, yes, without amending the future land use map.
Kind of
Yeah,
weird
well-
carve out though.
Either way,
Yeah.
either way, it's back and forth. What he's requesting is the easiest, and it will require additional work on his part as well as our part, but it's not insurmountable, is a good way to put it.
Yeah, okay.
And to be clear, council, residential is not permitted in light industrial. But again, if he
Not even conditionally permitted.
did not change the zone, he could build a house on it regardless of what the future land use map showed.
Right, and that's all he's asking for tonight, is the future land use map
Correct.
be changed to light industrial for that part. for a
Correct.
piece. Okay. Does that make sense to you guys?
It does.
Are you confused?
With that change, does that require a public hearing, though, with a notice? In order to.
Either way, regardless of what Mr. Gardner does, he's going to be in front of us for one, potentially two public hearings, depending on how the process falls out.
And is he still interested in requesting the change now that you know that it's one or the other?
I guess just for clarification, if it is in the near future subdivided into 4 lots, but I keep the current zoning of residential on the east 2 lots, you're saying there wouldn't be any impact to being able to build a residence? Or how would that work with the future land use maps?
So the issue is that you want to create a light industrial zone so that you can have a truss plant in that existing storage facility,
Right.
okay?
Yep.
If you were to just do that, and you're coming before the council this evening and say, I would like to have you amend or make a recommendation to the commission that the future land use map for my parcel be changed to light industrial, that whole piece would become, in the future, light industrial. But that doesn't change the zone as it sits now, which is residential.
Okay.
So you would then come to us and say, I want to subdivide under the residential suburban zone, and then take, let's say, 2 lots, and keep them so that you can build 2 residences.
Right.
Okay? The remainder then becomes, okay, how do I handle this? Oh, by the way, now that the parcels have been created, you would then go through the process of changing the zoning of the future land use map for everything. there's an element of confusion, and until a decision is made and other choices take place, ask to have the whole thing amended on the future land use map to light industrial, and leave it at that, and then we'll go down the path of all of the others as you come in for subdivision.
Okay,
Trying to solve all of them at once, can't do it.
okay. Yeah, I understand I'm probably jumping the gun a little bit.
No,
I'm not familiar with the process.
We're willing to do what we can to help, but without all of the information and all of the parts and pieces in play now, it doesn't make, we can't make sense of it for you.
Okay.
Okay. Do you guys understand?
No more questions? Yeah.
What's going on? What he's asking for? Okay.
Because
Yeah.
the future land use map is part of the comprehensive plan.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
so before we get there and we make a recommendation for the commission to accept it and adopt it, we have the opportunity to make the request, or make the recommendation with the request for Mr. Gardner.
It has to be rezoned one way or the other, that, so you don't do spot zoning, I get that.
Yep.
Yep. So,
Okay,
Okay.
sorry for the confusion.
sorry.
I think we're good.
We're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So would it be possible to make a motion to approve as written with
Yep.
XYZ changes?
Yep.
Oh, that. While we're at it, can I bring up a couple minor items?
Relative to this, yes.
Yeah, it's comprehensive plan. Page 7, the very first thing on community development in the upper left corner. So the first thing you read is hazardous areas. And that just doesn't have a great connotation, so I would propose putting that maybe at the bottom of the list. Hazardous areas, pretty minor, but.
They're talking about Simplot. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Even though that's outside the county. That's the only
Why
hazardous
these are
area.
alphabetized, and that's the reason why the list was created the way that it was. That's it. That's the reason why.
Okay, that's fair.
What are considered hazardous areas though? Is that like hazardous slopes, or is that like hazardous waste?
Where we have ground sites,
Okay.
Super fun.
super fun, yeah.
So
et
it's
cetera.
those ones, okay.
Yep. And there are a few in the county area.
My only other one is on page 12 with the word graphic, and I assume that the larger the word, the more of those inputs we had, but there's a couple repeats. Like I see poor twice, which also doesn't have a great connotation, and then the word pleasant is also twice, so I don't know if the intent was to not have repeats and just make words larger or smaller, but especially the poor one that just.
So real quickly, pleasant, is pleasant right below it in yellow?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and then where is the second poor?
There's one right in the middle and then
Got
one
it.
close to the pleasants.
We will have conversation with the.
Between home and good, there's unique twice, one in yellow and one in black as well.
We'll change one of the uniques to Monique, okay?
There you go.
Good catch.
I know we're getting in the weeds, but those couple of things just
No,
stuck
that-
out to me.
I was in the weeds with flashing letters together.
Just an FYI, we've worked very diligently with the graphics component of this because most people look at a comprehensive plan and it becomes a boring document. And we've tried to make it a little more visually pleasant so that there's a reason to keep going and reading through it and trying to understand.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. Anything else? We should take taxes out of there too.
Peaceful's in there more than once, but it's a peaceful, yeah. That's
Okay.
positive. Okay.
Anything else?
No, I think it looks really good, reads very well
Okay.
overall, so. Okay, so this one would be a motion for recommendation to the county commissioners with any changes we wanna make.
Can you recommend my picture be removed from everything?
Is it in there?
I saw one.
From one of the, oh yeah, from one of the public meetings. That's right.
It's an 11, it's in 7, it's a.
That's too good. Elise, thank you. Highlight of the night right there.
There's a picture of Jim in there too, so. Okay. So how do you guys want to proceed? How do you want to talk about the public comments, both the agency comments that we received and the comments tonight?
Regarding the public, maybe I feel like he's getting at the last second. Maybe this should have been done months ago. So that's kind of.
I don't agree with making an exception, it's a weird ask.
That's kind of where I'm at.
I see where he's coming from though.
Oh, I do, I totally do.
From, my guess is he wasn't planning on doing this months ago or a year ago. This opportunity probably just came up. He's trying to skip a step, which I don't blame him. I would too. It's $1,000 fee for the future land use map amendment application. And so I don't blame him one bit for wanting to come in and ask for it to try to get it now, because my thought is if he was to come in next month with that same request, we would probably tell him no, because we just approved it.
We go back to his site.
You know what I mean? And commissioners might have the same attitude, that why would we change that map when we just approved it?
Go out of it. To answer Chad's comment about seems late to the game, so that you know, this is the site. This is the current trust facility. This industrial park just recently sold, and this trust plant just received eviction notice within the last 4 to 6 weeks.
Gotcha.
That's the reason why it came about. We had conversation, told him what his potentials were. He caught me by surprise by coming tonight to say, hey, could we do this? Because exactly what you just said, it gives him the opportunity to skip a step by amending
the future
land use map. If we can do it for him tonight, that's his request.
Or a recommendation.
Right.
Yes. So that's why.
I get his, maybe not 100%, but I understand his situation, but where do you make, if you start.
Well, I don't think it's an exception, because there's nobody else here asking for that change. If there was 10 people here asking for their specific properties, and we approve one or recommend one and not the others, we're making an exception. He's the only one that's come to do that tonight. And I don't think this happens very often. When we do these map changes, like the overall county, I don't think anybody else is even paying attention to be like, oh, well, I've got a project coming up in 6 months. I should probably try to do this now.
Yeah, see if I can get this done before it gets worse.
Exactly. And so I don't fault him for that. And I don't see it as a weird request. I mean, he's got light industrial south of him with a gravel pit. He's technically got a gravel pit north of him that's not in light industrial. And he's kind of stuck in the middle.
It's not a weird request, it just is, on the map. It just is out of.
It would look weird on the map, yeah, with that 4-acre piece on the north side of the road.
A special carve out, just looks like a special.
And I get that, but I also see if he was to come back in 6 months with this request.
But it is, the plant, just like Hal said, if the plant is done there, they gotta have somewhere to go. We definitely need industry like that, So
My comment to that is that you also have a role in economic development and how it plays out in the county. And you have the potential to maintain an existing business or watch it go by the wayside if they come to us for public hearings and it's denied, and then they have no place to go.
Yep, yeah. So as far as, is that just a recommendation that we get?
Yes.
Just a recommendation.
I think we could put that in a recommendation, just in, if recommending changes with the following changes, like I said, that would be a.
That would be one of them, yep, is that we recommend that parcel, and we'd probably have to identify it by parcel number.
I'm good with that,
Be changed
for what
to light
it is, with
industrial.
the trust plant getting explained, I understand that, we need industry, we need stuff like that all the time. Is it an exception? Yeah, but how often does that happen? So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What about the trail system from the city of Chubbuck and the Greenway and the Health Trust? And this, so let me tell you my stance on this. I agree with how the county's not in the business of providing amenities like that, but if we can provide language that supports those amenities for developments, I'm all for that. It's another recreation type thing that our comprehensive plan talks about, is supporting recreation in the county.
It does.
And so I don't see an issue with it. I just don't know what the language would be.
Is the goal basically to have synergy where easements already exist for a canal? Is that?
That's kind of where the Greenway is, and my experience with the city, they're utilizing when there's a subdivision plat comes in that borders the canal right away. They add a statement on that plat that says that right of way is also a pedestrian easement. So in the future, they could build a trail system through that subdivision, and it's already on the plat. So that's what Devin was talking about, what they've been doing, and that's kind of what the Greenway Foundation wants, is some language that would support something very similar to that on the county level, not just the city level.
I feel like it puts a lot on the plate on the county. I mean, I get the purpose. It's just, that's trying to coordinate and see to a crystal ball for future development. Where's the city growth? Who would be ultimately responsible for the trails and bike lanes and all that stuff? I just think that's a hard, maybe it's just language in there versus specific areas or instances, you know.
And that's what I think it is. It's
Yeah.
just general language that supports, I don't know, an area-wide trail system or something along those lines. That then it's up to the city and the county and the developer and Greenway Foundation or whatever to actually build those. Because even in the city of Chubbuck, when they dedicate that as a trail system along the canal, they're not building a trail. They're just setting it aside as a potential pedestrian pathway. So that at some point in the future, a Greenway trail can be built there. Is really all it is.
So would his recommendation be more appropriate in section 4? Because I think he wanted it as one of the highlight primary goals, but strategy, goal 4.1 is an expanded, connected, and well-maintained trail network. Would it be more appropriate?
Yeah, and that's what
in that
the Greenway actually suggested that in 4.1
okay.
strategy, add strategy 413
Okay.
that states incorporate standards for bicycle and pedestrian trail corridors and ordinances that bridge the gap between city and county requirements for infrastructure.
Okay.
That's their language. And then they also wanted to add language to 2.2.2 and add a strategy 1.2.3.
Okay, I was thinking the trail was proposed to be 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
So So, yeah, the Greenway actually gave us proposed language. Devin read his, but I
Yeah,
have
give it
no,
to us.
I have no idea what it said,
That
so.
1.3.7.
Yeah, he had 136 and 137, and
Right.
I tried to write it, and I got one word down.
Did he leave us anything?
He didn't, I asked him, and he said, no, I read most of it, and then left. So he didn't leave us with his letter.
Okay.
But we do have a recording of it. Luckily.
Yeah.
So that's another thing to consider is adding language or similar language to what the Greenway Foundation proposes. Or nothing at all.
I'm kind of leaning to the nothing at all. I think there's a division there, but I don't know where, I'm against the language. Where are you gonna put that, how are you gonna word it, you know? But at this point, it's time for this to go through, so with obviously without drastically changing it, which that wouldn't, but, yeah.
I don't know. Because of my experience with the city of Chubbuck and what they've been doing for years,
Yeah.
I think it's something that we
Could
probably
put in
should
there.
consider and put in there.
Yeah.
Where exactly it goes and how the wording is, I don't know for sure, but I do like the wording that the Greenway Foundation provided. The only thing I don't like is under strategy 1.2.3 says, develop, preserve, and enhance bicycle and pedestrian corridors as land use shifts from rural to more developed. Well, I guess he's not developing the actual trailways. He's just developing the corridors, which would be dedicating those easements, like along the canals or roadways or something like that, that provide that connectivity.
And I'm good with it too, to put recommendations. I guess it's work with just where it would end up if we put it where he's got it here, or,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and I think, because goal 1.2 is a balance of urban and rural amenities to attract families. So I think that strategy 1.2.3, that the Greenway, that verbiage, I think that would be the right location to put it.
But I think what's there is sufficient.
That's kind of.
In 1.2?
Yeah, the balance
So that you
there.
know the reason that it was written was not to identify specifics. They want us to identify the specifics. We do not want to identify the specifics from the county side. As I stated, we're willing to work with them as we talk about areas of city impact and talk about how some of those items, we start to blend the edges a little bit more. But one of the items that we have been counseled is that we're to work with the cities, but we are not to cater to the cities.
Understood.
So,
Understood. So, okay, so
so let me give you an example right now. The new direction or the new statute states that a city has to prove to the county that they can provide services within 5 years for their area of city impact zone. So let's use McCammon as a classic example. McCammon has no ability to provide additional services. They just don't. They have to literally go build sewage treatment expansion to be able to. So what is their ACI?
their city limits.
Their city limits. And the same thing with the city of Chubbuck. I mean, where can they grow? Within 5 years, they may be able to have all of the phases of Westfield Estates completed. So where's their area of city impact? Within 5 years, they will not be to Reservation Road, so therefore their ACI is coming way back,
Right.
etc. So in regards to that, and then working with them about blending the county to the city and having requirements or something that is a guide from the comprehensive plan about having bike paths out in the northwest corner makes no sense to me from a county planning standpoint. And therein lies where we want to go with the ACI and our negotiations between what is county responsibility, what is city responsibility, what can you do within 5 years.
Okay.
Okay? And I'm right there with you, Stuart. I know what the city of Chubbuck has been doing. I know what we have done as a county, working with Mr. Harrelson relative to building the walking path, bike path at the wellness complex, etc. He stated when he came in this evening that he now has put out to bid the paving from Pocatello Creek Road all the way up the backside of Surrey Ridge subdivision, going north along I-15 and then tying to the wellness complex path. We're more than happy to work with them, knowing full well that the intention was to be there, and we'll continue to work that way. We have no control over Fort Hall Irrigation. If they choose to take that path and work with Fort Hall Irrigation and build on top of their irrigation berm, great. But that is an easement that they own, the county. We have no say on that particular issue.
Understood. And I don't see that he's necessarily asking for that specific to work with Fort Hall Irrigation.
Right.
He's just asking for some verbiage that as the cities grow, some of that opportunity to create pathways exists in those rural subdivisions or rural areas. And I guess I would disagree that, only because I don't see it in there, but goal 1.2, I mean, granted, he says add strategy 1, 2, 3, which there already is one. But I don't see that there's that verbiage or similar verbiage to that in goal 1.2 or in those strategies already.
Okay.
And so I understand what your direction is, but I also think that the connectivity, I think, is important as the cities do grow out, that those pathway opportunities are thought of at the county level as well.
So let me share this with you. This is my recommendation. Make a motion for approval to the recommend to the Board of County Commissioners with the following item: change the future land use map, parcel RPR 385-300-6700 from residential suburban to light industrial warehouse per property owner's request, Mr. Ben Gardner, 14723 West Chubbuck Road. And then Tristan and I will have conversation with the commissioners about these other particular items, and the commissioners can add this to theirs as well. It's not a substantial change, and we could go down that path because it was testified here, and you could put something like number 2 as recommend and add. Let me think of the language here. I'm gonna type this out. Under goal 1.3, add 1.3.6. Work with Portneuf Greenway and local municipalities to enhance walking and paths, something to that effect.
Then we're not putting in specific language or
Correct, and
anything
then
like
we
that.
can refine that language when they get ready to make the final adoption.
That makes sense. I like that.
So I have a question. I'm still on this parcel, or this future map.
Okay.
So, I
gotta
don't
speak
know,
up.
I don't know what's surrounding that parcel. I don't know if it's a house, I don't know what's there, because I can't tell. But, I'm still hung up on it for some reason.
So.
We don't have the opportunity for, like, anybody who lives in those homes, if there's homes by it, to have input on that, or to really, I just don't, like, I don't have enough information to feel comfortable saying, I'm okay with that, or I could go for that, but I know it's,
So I can tell you
I can
the
decide.
properties to the east are, single-family homes on acre or so or more, or bigger lots. Parcels on the south are the same, single-family homes on kind of acres lots. North and west of it, that's a gravel pit. And then on the very corner, the square is, on the north side. This one right here is a single-family home.
The reason I
Old,
well, the reason I ask is I just don't want to find ourselves in the same situation we were with the gravel pit discussion, right? Like, don't want that in my backyard.
Right.
No one had the opportunity to, your future land use map didn't come about by no input, right? There was input on what should be where. I trust that process.
So,
No, the map
I will
not
share with
necessarily.
you very limited input relative to the future land use map. Outside of a few comments in the south end that said, we would like this particular area to be less residential rural in the future land use map, and we think that some area right in through here probably needs to be a little bit more enhanced with residential rural. Beyond that, everything else was off of our recommendations as we worked with the municipalities.
That's the response we had for South County. That's the response we had for Chubbuck. With the amount of people that live in Chubbuck, you can see how much input we had.
And those meetings were over a year ago.
Correct.
And we gotta remember, the future land use map is not technically a zone change. It's just what the future use could be. And so he still would have to come back in
That's right.
and
And
do
the
a
public
zone
will
change.
still have an opportunity to
That's
say.
right, to put the trust plan there, he'll have to rezone it from residential to light industrial as of right now. That will get your public hearing, that will get
And that will bring-
everybody to come and say, hey, no way. This is just for 2040 future land use map, no different than we had the Lava thing up there. They were trying to change the future land use map. That was one topic, right?
Right.
And then a rezoning.
But us changing it tonight would give him the opportunity to say, hey, but this is what's proposed in the future.
It makes the zone change from residential to light industrial
Easier.
a little bit easier.
So when he comes
In the
to
future.
get a zone change, he doesn't have to fight the future land use map.
Right.
He doesn't have to fight that battle, but he still has to fight the rezoning, and then there'll be with public input there. And then if there's concerned neighbors and everything,
I don't love it, but,
I think I understand that, but.
I understand.
okay, thank you.
So, okay. Okay. Any other comments or discussion on the comp plan or the map? Are we ready to?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so if there's no other discussion or comment, I think we're ready for a motion. Somebody wants to make a motion? And we do have two conditions, or two recommended changes, I should say.
Yep.
I'll make a motion.
Speak real loud. Oh,
Sorry.
speak real loud.
Okay. Based on the record and discussion this evening, I move to recommend approval to the Board of County Commission. The proposed Bannock County Comprehensive Plan is described in the application materials as supplemented with additional information attached in the staff memo and according to testimony received, and to adopt the proposed findings in order for signature by the chair or vice chair with the following changes. 1, change the future land use map parcel RPR 385.006700 from residential suburban to light industrial warehouse per property owner's request. Glenn Gardner, 14723 West Chubbuck Road. And 2, Goal 1.3, add 1.3.6, continue to coordinate the development of walking and bike paths with local municipalities as adjacent development occurs at the edges of the cities.
Okay, there's a second.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Stuart Ward,
Yes.
Chad Selenite,
Yes.
Crystal Mattson,
Yes.
Loud.
Molly Demick.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. All right, next item, and our last public hearing item, is an ordinance change. Sediment and erosion control ordinance text change. Bannock County proposes textual changes to section 410 erosion control permits in accordance with Idaho code.
Kyle Jensen, Planning Director. By way of information, this should not take us a long amount of time. I'll give you some brief history. This is an ordinance change request from Hannah Sanger, environmental scientist, City of Pocatello. We are part of what's referred to as an MS4 group, and we have a permit, and there are 5 entities. The City of Pocatello is the lead, City of Chubbuck, Idaho State University, Bannock County, and State Transportation Department. We have an overlay area, which is called the MS4 area. MS4 stands for Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, and it is required from the feds through the Idaho Department of Environmental Quality under the EPA, and the City of Pocatello controls and regulates that, and we are a party and an entity to that. We had 2 paragraphs that left us open to particular components of development. Those 2 paragraphs were changed as requested by Hannah Sanger, and that's what's before you, is those 2 paragraphs, to bring our ordinance in compliance with the other 4 entities where we were lacking in those 2 paragraphs.
And that's just this,
That is it.
that one thing. Okay,
One paragraph, so that got it, right?
one paragraph.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, F, section 410F. And the only thing that I see is changing is we're going from a quarter acre to 5,000 square feet.
That's it now.
And it talks about, also about subdivisions, does it not, in there?
That's the only change.
That's the only change, okay?
And confined to one residential or commercial lot. Not limited to individual home gardens, commercial, residential landscape maintenance and repair work. Yeah, I don't see anything that's,
Okay.
because it's minor land disturbances.
Okay, I'm good. Yep.
So, just one question, does the MS4 permit or this other text, is that what dictated the change from a quarter acre to 5,000 square feet, or is that a
Yes.
Fed thing?
It's so that our ordinance is compliant with the other 4 entities, and so that you know that brings us into compliance, and it will be another complete rewrite of the ordinance this year. But because we just went through an MS4 audit, a DEQ requested that we make that change
To be in compliance.
to make sure that all ordinances read basically the same.
Okay,
Okay?
okay. So that's,
In that
Okay.
process, we did find that there's a lot of this ordinance as it's structured now that is archaic because it was written, what, in '06, I believe? I can't remember for sure. And it's time for some major updates with the changes that have occurred on the federal level, DEQ, EPA, etc.
okay.
Okay? But the city of Pocatello will be taking the lead because they have the lion's share of the MS4 area, so therefore they are the ones who negotiate with DEQ, et cetera, and then we meet as a group and we receive our instructions from the City of Pocatello.
Gotcha.
Okay.
That makes sense. Okay,
I want a motion.
so I think we're ready for a motion on this one.
I'll do the motion. Based on the record and the discussion this evening, I move to recommend approval to the Board of County Commissioners of proposed changes to the construction site sediment and erosion control ordinance of Bannock County, Idaho, as described in the application materials, as supplemented with additional information attached in the staff memo, and according to testimony received, and to adopt the proposed findings and order for signature by the chair or vice chair.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, roll call.
Stuart Ward,
Yes.
Chad Sonnenay,
Yes.
Crystal Mattson,
Yes.
Molly Demick.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. All right, that's the last public hearing item. Do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Before you move on, I need to apologize. Because we're so intimately involved in some of these things, it's clear to me. I apologize for my laborious language trying to explain it to you. Hopefully I don't confuse you.
No. No, helps, actually.
Okay. All right, business items. Preliminary plat approval for Peppergrass Point subdivision. Jose Nava requests preliminary plat approval for some tax parcels in accordance with procedures and standards of the zoning, subdivision zoning ordinances. So,
We've seen this a couple times.
we've seen the concept on this one, yeah.
He wanted to take the 3 lots and make them 2.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, there's nothing really going on.
And the biggest thing, well, are you here for this item?
No.
No.
No,
Who's
okay.
next?
Yours the,
Looked like right where I live, I'm like, what's going on?
okay. If you were here for this one, I didn't want to just ignore you, so, okay. So, yeah, this one came in a little while ago as a concept, and one of the biggest things I remember was the name had to change, so that's why the name might not be familiar. It looks like he's gotten all the other utility buy-offs. My only question for staff maybe, and honestly, it might be a question for legal, so I'm gonna ask you this. Even though we have written consent, I guess, to vacate those easements from all those utilities, is that sufficient for this because it is a plat? Or is there some other, the only reason I ask is when I've had to do this in the past, it's an actual easement relinquished document that we get from the utility companies that is then recorded. So in this case, that I didn't see that, I just saw the emails back and forth, so I just want to make sure.
Elise Foster subdivision planner. From what I've researched in Idaho code, I did not see that it has to be that kind of document. It just states that utility companies have to agree. They have to reach out to utility companies and they have to comment back.
Okay.
Jose can't be here tonight, but he did reach out to Digline. Page 237, it does not say Digline on it, but according to Jose, that is what Digline provided to him. And they went out and marked the property. They could find no utilities present in that easement that they are proposing to vacate. We just wanted to confirm there was no other phone or cable company out there. And it does not appear there's anything in those easements.
Okay.
So if council considers that enough evidence, number 2 for the conditions may or may not be needed. That would be up to council.
Okay. That's not a typical Digline thing. So, but I'm not gonna nitpick that, whatever.
Okay.
I had a question about there was a comment about the fire suppression, and applicant has proposed a private water system for fire suppression and prevention measures. Council may require applicant to provide proof of further discussion with local fire department. I didn't see that in there anywhere.
Where are you reading that? Oh, right there, I see it.
For the concept?
Probably, but I just wondered if that had happened, if that had been addressed.
Where are you at, Kristen?
Yeah, what page?
Page 184.
Mm-hmm. I need to go. It just stuck out to me when I was reading.
It's in the staff report. Under criteria for approval. But maybe that's a carryover from the concept plan
Probably.
application or staff report.
Could have been.
I didn't see where it had been addressed, but I could have missed it easily.
You said it was in 184?
Page 184, about 3/4 of the way down.
Yes, that had to have been carryover from concept. This subdivision, is a original subdivision that was a 4-phased subdivision.
Gotcha. So no current, no current concerns.
Correct.
If I remember right, it has community wells, but that's just for culinary water, right?
That is culinary water, and I believe it's 4 lots presently on a well.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And Fire District was reached out to at pre-development and concept, so they were given 2 opportunities to comment as well.
Okay.
Okay. On condition number 3, proposed condition number 3, is that a note that's on the original plat that we're just wanting to make sure we add to this one?
That is correct. That's the
Okay.
exact verbiage on Wild Horse Ridge subdivision,
Okay,
phase 4.
that's what I thought. I didn't look at it. Okay. Okay, I don't have anything. It seems pretty straightforward. As far as I can tell, it
Strike the
complies
2
with,
if we're good with that.
yeah, and it complies with all the conditions from concept. Yeah, because we only have 3 conditions on the concept approval, so, okay. Let me find my findings here. Okay. The preliminary plat is in conformance with Bannock County Planning Development Council's approved concept plan, all applicable provisions of the county subdivision ordinance, other county codes and ordinances, and Idaho code. And based on the application and the preliminary plat map, and staff report, it is in compliance with the approved concept plan.
Pre-approved subdivision with just a lot change, really, right?
Yeah. Yep. Next one, the street plan for the proposed subdivision will permit its development in accordance with Bannock County subdivision ordinance. I'm gonna say will only because the there's existing streets.
Yeah.
There's no proposed streets. So
There's no added streets. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, all existing roads.
Yep. And 3, the street plan, these kind of go hand in hand, of the proposed subdivision will permit the development of adjoining land by providing access to that land by right-of-way dedicated to the county or developed street to the property boundary.
Almost a copy and paste, no new proposed roads.
Right, it's a previously platted dead-end road. And so would that be will or will not? It'd have to be will.
Will.
Yeah,
Will permit.
because it's existing, yeah. And then number 4, lot lines and roads do relate to land shapes and existing development. This is essentially a lot line adjustment.
And it's the elimination of a lot, created to.
Yep. The shapes and land shapes and existing development, it conforms with the surrounding lots, previously platted lots.
Yeah.
So.
And then the
Did I
conditions.
go too fast for you, Al?
Nope.
If we want to go with the staff recommendations, and we can get rid of 2, so 1 and 3.
Provide written documentation that no utilities exist within the 2 easements proposed. In the case of utilities present, easement shall not be vacated.
If we were good with that paper that they had sent for
With those emails.
Yeah.
If we're for sure there's no formal relinquishment that has to happen, and it's just the email correspondence, then I think I'm okay with taking that one out, but I just wanna make sure that I don't know how to address that on the plat though, that states that they've been relinquished by the utilities, because we only have email correspondence. There's not a recorded document that states that. But if staff's 100% sure that email is considered written consent.
In the case of easements granted for gas, sewer, water, telephone, cable, television, power, drainage, and slope proposes, public notice of intent to vacate is not required. Vacation of these easements shall occur upon the recording of a new or amended plat, provided that all affected easement holders have been notified by first-class mail, certified mail, or certified mail with return receipt of the proposed vacation, and have agreed to the same in writing.
That's Idaho code.
That's Idaho code.
So was first class mail used?
They did not use first-class mail that I saw. They did provide emails, but they did receive comments.
Right. I just don't want it to be an issue over a technicality, because it was email correspondence, not certified first class mail.
Correct.
Well, what's it gonna do for us to leave that condition in there, and he can get it resolved with more
You
clarification?
could amend that condition to say proof of certified mail or first-class mail. If you really wanted to adhere to that exactly. Because we have the comments.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm okay.
Yeah. So we strike 2, keep 1 and 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that works. Okay. So, any other discussions? No? Okay. Somebody ready for a motion?
Rita. Okay. Based on the record and the discussion, I move to approve the request for the preliminary plat of Peppergrass Point subdivision as described in the application materials as supplemented with additional information attached in the staff report, and to adopt the proposed findings and order for signature by the chair or vice chair with the following conditions of approval. Can you read those?
Do you want me to read them?
1 and 3.
Striking number 2, correct?
Striking number 2.
Yeah. CC&R shall reference a new subdivision name, and the plat shall state the 100-foot wide recreation easement, of which 50 feet is dedicated in phase 2 is designated for recreational ingress and egress, i.e. horse riding, biking, walking, of all Wild Horse Ridge subdivision residences. The 10-foot wide trail shall be free from obstructions such as fences, building structures, gardens, and landscaping. Okay. So we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Real quickly, who made motion? Sorry.
I did.
Crystal. I'll
And
second.
seconded by?
Second.
Chad. Okay. Roll call, please.
Stuart Ward,
Yes.
Chad Selenite,
Yes.
Crystal Mattson,
Yes.
Molly Dimmick.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries. All right. Last item, business item, is a conditional use permit for gravel pit. Coleman Horrocks requests to open a new phase of an existing gravel pit according to the original findings, conclusion, and decision of the conditional use permit. Okay. This one's you. Okay,
It's not a public hearing.
right. Will you just come up and tell us what you know about this? What we gotta do here?
Name and
Just
address.
kidding.
Name and address, please, Mr. Rocks.
Matthew Coleman Horrocks, 7996 Near Road.
So you operate the pit, or you own the property or something?
Both.
Okay. So, as far as you know, based on the original conditional use permit from 25 years ago, you just gotta come back to us for some reason, right?
I think it was to make sure that one, they didn't want to open the whole thing at once because they wanted us to start on the far end and keep the noise over there, right?
Right.
Further away from people. And I'm sure it's also to make sure like that we're following the rules of the permit before we move forward to keep us on track instead of
Right.
the sense of giving a permit. And a lot of the pits around here, I believe are grandfathered, so they're not, you don't have the biggest voice on those that they're still using, right? So this is just, I think, to mitigate how fast the pit is expanded.
Gotcha, okay. And phase two, I don't have it up. Phase two is just, from what I read, is just pushing 500 feet to the east, approximately.
Yeah,
500 to 550.
there's a map of it there. That's the entire thing. Is there another?
Keep going that one.
Yeah.
So it's that to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what we are doing and how it's operating, the reason we're requesting it is because we have to have stockpiles. The market goes up and down, and we can't wash and prepare a product year round. We have to stop. And a lot of times you'll end up with an excess product that we'll try and reprocess to make another product. So it ends up eating a lot of ground, or you just stack it taller. We are not planning to move closer with our equipment out of phase one. We just want to be able to stockpile and utilize the entire area for our operations. And then as needed, when we're completely done with phase one, meaning there's no material left, it's already open right there. And we're not trying to get in here and juggle seasonal operations. Another issue of why we want to do it is we assume there's a certain amount of material left in phase one, and we did test holes, but there could be areas where it's actually clay and it's not suitable for asphalt, concrete, base or anything.
Right.
That ends up getting stockpiled and just saved for seeding, pretty much making it look pretty as we completely use it. So anyway, that is what why we're proposing it, is to be able to use it.
Okay.
The phases, from what I understand, are time-based, and there's other things in the permit to regulate, like we're not waiting till we're done with the entire pit to start reclaiming the pit. As we get to the very bottom of the pit, slopes are, and MSHA helps with this, slopes have to be created, seeding needs to be done, and we're falling within that.
Okay.
We're doing that, right? So
So
Go ahead.
my question is, because I assume you know the answer to this. Well, two questions. One, have you guys owned it since day one when this was?
we were, no.
Okay.
Yes and no.
Okay.
We owned it via shares, interest in a company that owned it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
So fair, but you guys were involved when the original permit came about, I guess is my question. And so you know what the conditions were at the time? Because it talked about a berm, and my question is, was the overburden on phase 2 stripped to build those berms that currently exist? So there's no overburden, the topsoil, right? There's none of that in phase 2 that you're gonna have to deal with. It's all gravel that you can start mining.
On phase 2?
On phase 2.
no, there will be overburden.
There is, okay.
And what the original plan was, there are a lot of documents there, I don't know. If you scroll back up, I could point out where they had it engineered of like, what we would do with it. The engineer just showed like how big it would be, I guess. But if I could just walk up real quick. So the idea with overburden is you want to keep enough of it to make sure your grade's right and there's material that will grow vegetation to put back over the slopes when you're done. So the excess of what we're going to need to keep was to be stored.
That's a touch screen.
This is a touch screen. Was to be stored here behind the berm that's existing, for one, to help with wind. But yeah, it was right here, and that's where overburden from here was going to go as well. And as we dig down, it would then be pushed probably initially along this edge, and this edge to make sure their slope is good.
Gotcha.
It will, it needs to be seeded or have weeds or be covered, but the berm and the vegetation there is more than likely sufficient to keep dust control down. And that's why this was chosen, from my understanding of what I found was it's a wind block. Instead of putting it here or here, this berm's already existing. So it won't blow directly to the neighbors.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay.
That was the plan and what I was still considering doing. Because I could not find that approval. I just found the engineered drawings of this is where we're going with overburden, and that's what we planned to do. We used some overburden to continue building the berms that will be required for phase 3 and 4, because we didn't want to move it twice, and
Gotcha.
figured it would be better.
The only reason I ask is because if there is some overburden there, and as you move it, it creates dust, the neighbors out there are gonna freak out.
Yeah.
Because of what somebody else tried to do across the street from you. And so that's my only question, that if that happens, I mean, you have a permit, so it doesn't affect you, but there will be complaints of dust if that happens. But if you already had it stripped, there wouldn't have been an issue, so.
No, we haven't, it's not, open, so that's why we didn't strip it.
Gotcha.
And,
I couldn't tell on the imagery if it was
they,
stripped or not.
see, I was not involved in all of the past 25 years. So, part of it is stripped, as you can see in that picture. When I was looking at this, I always thought this was berm. This has been stripped. This area right here.
That darker area?
That darker area has been stripped, and that's why the new vegetation is just darker.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
But,
Okay.
I mean, we have to follow, we gotta keep dust on the property.
Right. Yeah.
For stripping, processing, crushing, washing. But yeah.
Okay.
The current standards of, I mean, water trucks and hoses on, like spray hoses, dampening the material. Moving it in the winter really helps with dust control, which is why we're going.
Understood. Okay. Yeah, that was all. I was just wondering, so I don't think it really affects what we're doing tonight. I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Just was curious and making sure that everything, from what I can tell, from what you said and what I could look at on that picture, it looks like all the conditions from the original have been complied with.
Yeah.
And so I don't see any issue with letting them move forward with phase 2. I just don't really know what we're approving.
I just have one question, because I
Yeah.
can't tell from the photos. Are there portions of phase 1 where mining is totally complete? And if so, are all of those areas reclaimed and reseeded?
We're not to the bottom yet. All the areas that, that are ready to be reseeded are, but there currently aren't any. So,
Okay.
if that answers your question. Some of it is seeded, but it will be processed and need reseeded. That's the whole truth.
Okay. Anything else?
Real quickly, under the original conditional use permit, they staged it so that Mr. Horrocks had to come back relative to each respective. And originally it was set up so that every 10 years was the estimate about what it would take them to mine and et cetera. It's taken longer than that, luckily for Mr. Horrocks. He has a lot of wolves knocking at his door wanting to use his pit, and he wants to protect his business interest. So he's been very cautious about how much he opens up at a time, just so that you know.
Right.
If you see or in your questioning with Mr. Horrocks, you find anything that seems out of the ordinary from the original conditional use permit, this provides you an opportunity to place any new conditions. If you think that the existing conditions, as they are structured, are sufficient to protect the county and the local residents, then you're good to go. I will share with you that we have had no complaints relative to this pit while we have been on staff with the county. I don't know that there are any recommendations. I take that back, there are two. Two conditions, all conditions listed in the findings, instrument number such and such from the original CUP shall be upheld, and provide planning and development with a copy of DEQ's required permits before starting extraction of phase 2.
Just extraction, right now, he's stockpiling there. He's not gonna extract anything, right? So.
And if he has any amendments that he has to take care of with Bureau of Reclamation, whatever it might be, those are the only items that Mr. Horrocks is required to provide us paperwork with, so.
That's what I was gonna suggest too, is any reclamation as soon as possible.
I do have it is a slow process. I've requested, and so the process is a name change. I accept the old reclamation plan. That's in the works. I just have a receipt that says that, that I've applied for it. Then the Idaho Department of Lands might say, hey, we want to add some stuff. This is what you gotta sign to do. If I want to make any changes, further approval, I have that opportunity. DEQ, we have a standing permit for a concrete plant there. I reached out to them again because they have a lot of different departments. So I applied for another permit to use the land without a concrete plant. They said 6 to 8 months, but the application is in, and they said we could go forward until they look at it. Is pretty much. I talked to Roy Hansen today to try and figure that out, but so.
And by way of information to the council, Mr. Horrocks came to us, I want to say towards the end of November, 1st of December, and we've had other conversations leading up to this. We had to go do some research and some homework to find the original paperwork so that we were all on the same page prior to getting it in front of the council.
Okay.
Because of the age of the original permit, so.
So, and the original permit talks about hours of operation for the gravel pit, the asphalt plant, concrete batch plant, all that kind of stuff, and I'm assuming that you're still gonna comply with those hours of operation.
Yeah, I was not, I mean, concrete starts way before that, but we're utilizing it for aggregate, and we stockpile the first third of a day at our plant on Philbin.
Right.
So, I didn't feel like I could change anything in here without coming before the county as a new CPU. So I wasn't suggesting any changes to what's there.
Okay. So, I think when I read the conditions from before, I didn't have any issues with any of them. So,
Other than that, and the conditions that were discussed, and then do we do the same thing for phase 3? Come back again.
I think it says that in.
yeah, it says
in
that
each phase time.
until phase 4, so phase 2 and phase 3, if I remember right, are just come back and talk to us. But then phase 4, when it comes back for 4, that's a public hearing. So that's when all the neighbors will yell at you. But that seems like that's gonna be years down the road. Maybe you'll be out by then, who knows?
Yeah, I don't foresee it being very soon.
We will be.
Yeah. I'll be long gone by then. So, okay. So our motion is approval or denial with conditions. So
I think we just go with the staff's, which would be adhere to all the original CUP conditions. And the number 2 with when they start extraction of phase 2, then just provide the DEQ's reports or whatnot.
Yep.
So I think that was 1 and 2, right?
Yep.
So.
Do you make that motion?
I'll make the motion right now. Based on the record and the decision this evening, I move to approve the request by Coleman Horrocks to open phase 2 of the previously approved gravel pit as described in the application materials, as supplemented with additional information attached in the staff report and according to testimony received, and to adopt the proposed findings in order for signature by the chair or vice chair. Adding D1 and 2 from the staff report.
Do you want me to read those?
Yeah, sure.
Number 1, all conditions listed in the findings, instrument number 200111957 from the original CUP shall be upheld. Number 2, provide planning and development with a copy of DEQ's required permits before starting extraction of phase 2. Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
And a second. Roll call, please.
Stuart Ward,
Yes.
Chad Zelenak,
Yes.
Crystal Mattson,
Yes.
Molly Dimmitt.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries. You're good.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Thanks for hanging out with us.
It's been real.
Okay, next item, items of interest.
Real quickly, items of interest, we need to, this is standard for the council members except for Mr. Ward. We are required by ordinance and statute to have a coordination meeting between council and commission once a year in the first quarter of the year. We received a telephone call from Administrative Assistant Christy Davenport stating that we could do a joint meeting with commission on March 18th at 2 p.m. Check your schedules and get back to us if you would, please.
I cannot make that.
That's all right. That's all right.
And we can get back with commission, find another day if there's enough council members not available.
On a Tuesday?
Yes, Tuesday.
And real quickly, we have 2 items to update you on upcoming hearing items for March 19th. A conditional use permit, a gravel pit in Downey. And the second one will be a preliminary plat for Westfield Estates Division 6. And beyond that, I have no other items on the agenda and no other comment other than thank you for your patience in being here tonight.
Is the meeting 1 hour?
Pardon?
1 hour for the commission?
Yes.
Typically.
Okay. And I will not be at our next meeting on the 19th, March 19th, so. Okay, nothing else? You won't be either? So hopefully you guys can make it and Ed for the 19th.
I'll be here.
Okay. Next item is citizen comment. We're finally back to you.
That's fine. Say, it's
You get another 3 minutes.
Okay, it's been, don't time me right now. It's been, oh, I haven't been to a comprehensive meeting since 96 or 97. They haven't changed much. Okay, okay, Candy Simmons, Lava Hot Springs on Simmons Road. Real quick, the canal can be dangerous. Grandpa lost his 3-year-old little girl in it. Yeah, she died. And kids, you couldn't keep me out of the canal with a 10-foot fence when it's that hot. So anyhow, that's just a side thing. What I really would like to tell you about is that those signs, in the beginning, the signs were created because of us, the Simmonses, and the wrongdoings that they had done to us, the PZ, the county. They used to be like this, and then they pulled up, you know, like kind of wear on you. Anyhow, and it would have what it was about, zoning, a public hearing or anything, and it was the place that you could go to, they stated the place and the date of the hearing. The sign you had out there could have read, hair removal call. You know, I mean, no one could read it going by. And that was the neighbors telling me that, as well as myself. I had to get out and take a picture, enlarge it, and then call. Also, when I brought in my written comments, years ago, they used to take a stamp and stamp it, received. Bannock County received, Bannock County in blue, received in red, and then they had the date that they fiddled around and stamp it. And when I handed it in, they didn't know what I was talking about. That's kind of a disservice for the office personnel, you know. And when I had my finger, where'd it go? You know, no one knows. Went into cyber somewhere. I have no proof. The gal was kind enough to make a little notation that she received it. But that's just lame, you know. Plus, they used to read them into the minutes. It's kind of disservice to the public when you have all this comment coming in written, and it's not anymore read into the records at the hearing. Anyhow, I think that's just about what I wanted to say is the written comments and the posting of the sign. You know, go back to what it was. It worked and it was well done. I mean, that sign was this big, you know, just like the kind they used to put over you and carry, you know, here to here, march around. But yeah, and being able to have, when you submit your comment, have it stamped, received, and the date it's received becomes basically a legal document. And this way, I don't even know where my comments are in your facility. As far as I know, they can be in a trash can or under somebody's desk, inadvertently, of course.
We have them in our packet.
Yeah, they were all,
Oh,
We
that's
did
fine,
get
but-
your, we did get your letter,
That's
yeah.
fine, but I don't have that recognition in my files with my
Gotcha.
copy. I can
I see
prove
what
that I
you're
have
saying.
done that.
Okay,
That's my concern, because it is a disservice to people if they can't, you know, prove what they did.
right, okay,
Okay. But anyhow,
okay,
that is it.
Well-
Everyone wants to go home, me too.
yes.
When you go home, remember, I'll still be driving. So
So, okay, well, appreciate you.
Yep, thank you very much.
Thanks for waiting so long.
Oh, like I said, it's been a while. Good night.
Good night. Okay, that's the last thing, because we're not doing a work session, so